That's a balloon frog. I mean, you know, I don't get it, but I respect it. That's unique. I've never seen a balloon emote before. Two seconds, chat. My face and mic is going to disappear for a moment. I had to enable recording. All right, now that I've done that, Twitch chat, YouTube chat. We stream on 2 platforms. Don't forget to leave a like on the YouTube stream, YouTube folks. And for the people here on Twitch, I'm gonna give you a link to the YouTube stream if you want to go leave a like on that too. I realize that this is just like streamer tells Twitch chat to like a bunch of things. And YouTube folks, if you want to help out the Twitch stream at no cost to you, you could open up an extra tab and watch over here as well. If you want slightly faster chat responses, I recommend you type in the Twitch chat because that's the one that I look at the most. I do look at the YouTube chat, but it's generally quieter than the Twitch chat, so the busier place gets the priority. And we're gonna go play some Dwarfs in the mystical realms of SKULLPONDERS. Will Dwarves prioritize filling a stockpile over a trash dump? From what I can tell, like, the dump, like when you click drag dump, that is like the lowest on the totem pole priority of everything. So usually, like, if I need them to trash stuff, I just remove all tasks except for, like, hauling, basically. And that gets it done generally pretty quick. Cheers, Ice Blue. Works for me. Thanks, Otters. All right. This is my lovely fort. See, that people keep asking me if I play Vintage Story, Oshlan, and the reason I don't like it is the reason that you just wrote in my chat. You have a world of about a dozen friends. I don't want to play games with other people. The second you put other people in my game, I'm like, nope, I'm good. We got Necrontyr, who is a very skilled miner. We've got Lanix, who is the Count of SKULLPONDERS. We have Hippo and Bonesaw. There's going to be some interesting dwarves in here as we scroll down. We've got Laya. We've got Hammer. Hammered Face, actually. We've got RX and Dumb. We've got Pain Mother. We've got Dave Danger, the Warlock. His given name. We've got Trent Reznor, who I hear has some musical talent. We've got Arkloyd. We've got Gut Vile. We've got Brian and Adam Zucci. We've got Midnight Axe, Visor, Stormwolf, Dr. House. It's probably not Lupus. Or it's definitely Lupus, I don't know. Stormpup and Merlin Buff, Gumbo. And I think that's everybody. Let's do a final pass. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. Lost anybody? Missed anybody? Killed with Style. That's the one I'm looking for. So Killed with Style is a vampire who became a vampire in the fort, which is why he's listed as a vampire. And we're going to lock him in a tower. Maybe use him to dispose of prisoners. I'm not sure. One of the two. I think that's everybody. But yeah, that's the interesting one, is the vampire. He keeps tantruming. He has eaten some people. And currently storing owned items. We're going to need to deal with him, though. I've removed all of my prison cells and replaced them with one at the top of this, which is all the way up here. And I need to let them finish that. These are my only prison cells. One of which has a person assigned to it currently. But hopefully we can get that vampire locked up here. And be able to put prisoners in there. Yeah, I mean, that's very much a thing, right? I mean, like, for me to get into a game like Vintage Story, I would have to pretty drastically change my streaming style. And the difference between, like, being a person who talks nonstop 99% of the time and looks at chat all the time and is constantly responding to chat to then talking to 3 people on voice chat is a pretty seismic shift. And I've seen some people do that and it very much hurt their community in the long term. Or if not hurt, then changed it. And I don't really want to do that. So, do I have any bards? No. I do have some holy figures. I've been trying to avoid bards because this fort's been teetering for a while. And if I have any bards or tavern keepers, what's going to happen is they're going to hand out drinks. And if they do that, then that could lead to problems. I could assign a performer to like a temple though. I don't really want anybody like brawling under the influence. Actually, Who from this list would you like to be a bard? I'm not sure how to respond to that, Pickle. And name a dwarf, and I kind of do. Holy Gravel, then? No, I'll give you a bard, but you have to select from this list. I played Noida. I don't see well enough to play Noida. YouTube chat. I don't play Noida because I'm legally blind, and believe it or not, it's kind of difficult to play a video game that can kill you with a single pixel. I don't find that fun at all. I think the wand mechanics are pretty fun. I played like 20 hours of it, and I don't think I finished the first level. I've watched some streams of it. It's interesting. I wish it was designed for me. It's not. It's the reason I play a lot of turn-based stuff. And the reason when people are like, here's this bullet hell thing, you might like it. Maybe, but I won't enjoy it. In theory, sure. In practice, eh. But like, the miner's a miner. Did you want a bard, or? The miner's gonna be not barding. Ever. And if they are, then that's like a net negative for me. So did you want a bard or did you not, Romanoid? Like, I respect the hell out of Noida, I don't want to play Noida. I mean, so, this guy's proficient. Like the Lie Maker? This Rovod? It's just like, the miners are gonna be, like, down by the lava sea 90% of the time mining, so they're not gonna actually do any bard things, but let's just do this. Who's this one? Name you? Whoa, hold on. It, like, reorganized you to the top. That's actually kind of neat. Anyway, I'm gonna assign another dwarf to be a religious figure in here, the Exalted Oil. And let's read Romanoid, who is now a bard. Not only that, but my only bard. Romanoid wants to acquire an object, wander, and be with family. Has no family, but does have friends, so can probably compensate for that. Is bashful after wearing old clothing in 10.8.4. Doesn't generally think before acting. Seeks out exciting and adventurous situations. Is quick to anger and often feels lustful. Doesn't mind wearing something special now and then, and tends to be swayed by the emotions of others. Is brave in the face of imminent danger and doesn't often experience strong cravings or urges. Is troubled by this because she values such powerful forces in life. She doesn't often feel envious of others and could be considered rude, though she finds the rules of etiquette to be valuable, at least in the abstract. She generally is quite confident in her abilities when undertaking specific ventures and does not easily hate or develop negative feelings. She inhales sharply when she's angry and she always snaps her fingers when she's greeting somebody. She needs alcohol to get through the working day and doesn't really care about anything anymore. Yeah, I love the idea of Noida, Dreadmast, and I like I said, I played quite a bit of it but it became very clear very quickly that it's one of those games that I just don't see well enough to play. Yeah, so the only metal we have on the map is gold, and I'm not using metal for melee weapons. I am using it for ranged weapons when I can get it. So my melee dwarves are using wooden shields, leather armor, and obsidian short swords. Romanoid personally would have the world operate in complete harmony without the least bit of strife or disorder. Views decorum as a high ideal and is deeply offended by those that fail to maintain it. Has abandoned any concept of self-control and finds the whole concept deeply offensive. Is somewhat disgusted by eloquent speakers, values sacrifice, finds romance distasteful, considers craftsmanship to be relatively worthless, views loyalty unfavorably and doesn't feel strongly about the law and dreams of creating a great work of art. Likes nickel and pink jade as well as peach wood and nav fabric, the color of moss green, battle axes, breastplates, and loincloths, and deer men for their grace. The words of this silken watchful amethyst and the sound of the velvety incenses and the sight of the diamond mines and when possible prefers to consume brown bullhead and persimmon wine and absolutely hates rats. Has hanging lobed broad ears which are splayed out. And how do you... Music, yes. You know a lot of essays and poems. You've read a lot of guides and some canticles. Short stories. And you're a bit of an astronomer. Because you know about the moon and the seasons and star charts. And empirical observation. Happy to help, Linkus. Olive oil, specifically, is the oil that I would mention. Diamond Destructed, see you, good. Happy have you here. No, I mean, most games aren't for everyone. Rule of everything. That's the beauty of games, right? I think the only problem with most games aren't for everyone, rule of everything in YouTube chat, is sometimes somebody will be like, have you tried this game or do you like this game? And I'll be like, no. And then they'll get sad and be upset because I don't like a thing that they like. People get very personal about things that they like. I mean, I do that too. I'm also guilty of that. But I think that it's like something that we as a society need to get better about just like, not everything is for everybody and not everything needs to be everything. And if somebody tries to make everything, then everything goes bankrupt. Example A, the video game Everywhere? Was that the name of it? Something Mind's Eye? Time to turn 7 FPS into 4 FPS, yeah. So this fort is kind of tantrumy. We have certainly had problems with frame rate. But the reason I'm having some problems with frame rate is self-inflicted. And if you look at the actual whole fortress, you'll figure out why pretty quickly. I need to butcher some, well, I'll just leave them for right now. You'll figure out why pretty quickly. So if I jump up to the surface, this is the surface, right? Perfectly normal fort, you know. We used Embark Anywhere with DF Hack to settle on the surface, and we've lived here ever since. It's been lovely. And we moved into a pre-built castle that was built by World Gen. And I've been slowly renovating it ever since, filling it up with houses and such. I've got a lot of bedrooms I got to build, which is going to be the first chunk of the stream. But as we scroll down, we've got a little bit of underground stuff. We're only doing above ground farming, so all of my food and drink comes from above ground stuff, livestock and plants grown above ground. Same with clothing. We do have some silk, but we're not really prioritizing it. We have 4 there lizards, because they're right there. Earlier I mentioned there was a vampire in the fort as well. As I scroll down, you'll start to notice this. Do keep an eye on that. We go down through the first cavern layer, and then we hit this lava tube, which I started to drain. And I've drained it, like, the lava was all the way up to the surface at one point. It was, like, on this level. But we drained it all the way down. And when I say all the way down, I do mean, like, all the way down. And I'm slowly sealing in this little staircase all the way down as well, which hopefully I can finish today. And then down here, over on the left, this is the lava sea. Welcome to the lava sea. We've been draining and now digging out the lava sea. The reason this is all covered in mud is because this was full of lava. I drained it and then poured water on it to turn it into rock. And now we are digging down through it. So all these weird, almost incomprehensible layers of lava and water have been built out of the lava sea. One of my next projects for today is to seal this off with obsidian on these sides so that we can then drain this and then get that chunk down. because I would like to move the majority of the population down into here around these adamantine spires. Why? Because I can. That's SKULLPONDERS. Because I'm kind of waiting. I was saying for a while, I'm waiting for the next patch. Well, the next patch is out. What I actually mean is I'm waiting for the Siege update. So I'm working on a bigger project, and I would like to actually defeat Hell, because I don't know if the Siege update is going to change how Hell works. So I would like to try and defeat Hell in version 50, and that's slowly what I'm building towards. Is this going to be a new video? Possibly. I mean, I can say that about every fort. Possibly. I have like 4 forts that could be videos that are just sitting on a hard drive. Blind in his Archcrystal era? I mean, me reading Archcrystal was me in my Archcrystal era, right? Speaking of Archcrystal, guy who made Archcrystal, he's working on a new fort. It's on a glacier, and he's like, I'm not going to spoil it, but like, for reference, if you don't know Sethados, the guy who made Archcrystal, he has a family and kids, so he kind of plays the game at like 5 frames a second intentionally. Like, he just basically lets it run and plays it like an idle game. Every major event will pause the game, and he just lets it run. So he's like got a new project that he's working on. The other thing is he's a jeweler, which is kind of awesome. It's like the most dwarfy job that somebody could have as like a legendary Dwarf Fortress community member. How long did this take me? I founded this fort 17 years ago in game, but 3 years in, I retired it and reclaimed it. And the fort now is mostly defended here. This is the surface, obviously. I have 2 Marksdwarf squads, which lost some people, actually not due to sieges. Unrelated losses. I think one of them was a vampire. But I haven't been too picky about who I've been putting in the military. But we are defending the fortress with the new Marksdwarf stuff, so that is something I've been doing. I'm actually just going to check these 2 squads. And it looks like I need to make 2 more crossbows unless... Yeah, you just haven't had time to equip anything yet because I just added you to the squad. And YouTube chat. The first person in the YouTube chat to put a circle emoji into the YouTube chat can name something. I don't know. We don't know the date, Nullzor. But I'll tell you what we do know a date for. Is on the 9th of July, Tarn will be on this stream at 10 a.m. Pacific time. For like an hour and a half. 10 a.m. Pacific time, which for reference, it is currently 10:30. Also, the frame rate's doing the thing that it does again. There we go. So this fort's been running at like either 20 frames a second or 55. The cap is 60. And it fluctuates pretty widely. It occasionally fixes itself and then gets bad again. And I think that's just because of the size of the map. I spent the last stream trying to diagnose problems, and I found some, but not all. I know that some of them are being caused by dwarves tantruming, because I've witnessed that. But I'm not entirely certain the cause of all of them. So it's a thing that I'm slowly going through and trying to solve. Mostly it's because mega projects. The way you type that, Necrontier, it reads like you're screaming it. Tarn! That's always fun. Those kinds of memories are a good time. Terabyte. All right, Faxon, what would you like to name? CC and Basset Abdul in YouTube chat. Unfortunately, you two were second and third, so not this time. But for I don't think there are any birds on the map. I was suspicious of the oh, there are some Kias. I was suspicious of the like 150 what's it called? Not Kias. Magma crabs, but then I exterminated them and it didn't fix it, so. There are some Kias on the map, but they're flapping around. Actually, the Kias might be causing it. Although I could just like station some Mark Dwarves up here and shoot the Kias. Do I have any hunters? I don't. I should make a hunter. Hold on, let me just turn all these squads on. So I see who currently has crossbows. I need somebody who's not currently in a squad. Let's do fob. You. Maybe you. Why do we hate Kias? Kias they're like Grey Langurs. They steal items. They're thieves. We don't hate them. In reality, I think they're hilarious. Like, genuinely. Like, excuse me. Go look up videos of Kias in real life disassembling cars. No, but like, what would you like to name? Would you like to name a dwarf, Phazon, or would you like to name an object? If you'd like to name a dwarf, just tell me if you would like a dwarf with a beard or a dwarf without the beard, and I can take it from there. I've got some dwarves of importance that need naming, so. Does anyone play D&D here? There's actually a tabletop room on my Discord. D&D fans, rise up. Or wake up, I don't know. Why don't you put on a little makeup? Name a dwarf with a beard? Okay. We'll just give you the happiest dwarf with a beard, then keep it simple. You're a surgeon. Surgeon? Surgeon named Vukar. Oops. I just now need to put my hands on the right place on the keyboard because it was further forward than it normally was and I wasn't on QWERTY op. I'm still in new keyboard mode, so like, you know, getting better with it, but. Phazon, Hammer Curl. Oh, Haim Curl, not Hammer Curl. I read that as Hammer Curl. That was a cooler name. You don't have any family in the fortress. You are a member of the Bronze Sect, which worships minerals and ore. And you pursue matters with a single-minded focus, often overlooking other matters. He is extremely confident in himself in situations requiring his skills. He is sometimes cruel, and he is disturbed by this as someone who dislikes those that seek to acquire power over others. He's prone to strong feelings of lust and generally finds himself to be quite hopeful about the future. He likes to keep things practical without delving too deeply into the abstract, and he can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings. He doesn't mind wearing something special now and again, and he has a tendency towards forming deep and emotional bonds with others. He doesn't focus on material goods, and he tends to think before acting. Occasionally, he overindulges, and he tends to be swayed by emotions of others. He's quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture, and he can handle stress. He's not particularly interested in what others think of him, and he inhales sharply when he's angry. He needs alcohol to get through the working day, and does not mind being outdoors at least for a time. He doesn't really care about anything anymore. I think I'm just at a point where I like hearing other people talk about D&D. I don't think I like playing D&D. Although, it's been a long enough time that if I found a good group, I could see myself trying to do it. I'm just never going to do that at... I'm just never going to do that on... what's the word? Oh, online. It would have to be an in-person thing. He occasionally overindulges and tends to be swayed by the emotions of others. He is quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture and can handle stress. He's not particularly interested in what others think of him, and inhales sharply when he's angry and needs alcohol to get through the working day. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday, and personally finds the acquisition and use of power abhorrent and would have all masters toppled. Finds sacrifice to be the height of folly, and finds the pursuit of skill mastery off-putting. He likes porcelain and nickel, as well as crystal beryl, crystal glass, giant warthog leather, barn owl bone, and the color pearl. Tetrahedra, boxes, crowns, coins, and giant leeches for their feeding habits. Artichokes for their yummy hearts, and the sight of the velvet of meadows. And prefers to consume horn owl barn owl, not horn owl. That's not an H. Blueberry wine, capers, and absolutely hates fire snakes. So true story. I heard barn owls for about 2 months here. This is like my first year living on the island, and like when spring was like hitting, there was definitely some owls roosting close by because I could hear them flying around and hooting constantly. And reading about it a little bit, they do that because they are like roosting and like yelling at their children, basically. It was cool. It was a good time. His neck bears a massive jagged scar as well, so he's had some old wounds. He has no kills. He does have some stitches in his neck. Doesn't look like it was recent, though. Yeah, it was quite a few years ago now. Looks like he received a gold splint. He broke his hand. Blismith gave him the splint 2 years ago. And, yeah, has done a lot of doctoring, though. Is an accomplished surgeon, even with the crushed hand. And is hauling an obsidian boulder. Thanks, Happy Pancake. Glad to help. I think, like, you know, I feel about D&D the way a lot of people feel about Dwarf Fortress. You know, it's like, I'm just going to expel some of these really upset dwarves. Sorry, really upset dwarves. It's like, it's not that I'm not willing to fix them. It's just, they are not helping. The ones that aren't named, that aren't heavily valued in the fort, I'm just going to get rid of some of these. Because we are getting a lot of migrants right now, so my manager's one of them. I don't use DF hack for such tools, so you'd have to ask somebody else. I find that DF hack causes just as many problems as it fixes. At least in my experience of the times when I've tried to use it in the past, it's always been like, well, yeah, it fixes some things. What I would do is just go to your stocks and forbid all the items you don't want to use. Like, that's what I do with stuff like that. Like, if you're trying to make weapon traps, like, I do that sometimes with spikes, where it's like, I don't want my spears going in it, so I just forbid all the spears on the map, and then just designate everything with the game pause, and then unforbid them. Takes, like, an extra 10 clicks, but it saves you clicks in the long run. That's something that I do. But maybe I'm just lazy. But even then, you still have to click them individually, because, like, it won't use all of them. Weapon traps are a little fucky, I don't know. I don't generally use them. What was I gonna queue up? I was gonna queue something up. Rock doors. Cause I'm out. Let's just do 50 out of, where's Jet? There's Jet. 50. Check monthly. Number of jet doors is less than 30. Oh, really? Oh, that sucks. Oh, wait, were you, hold on. Were you using use closest material or use select material after placement? Because if you do use closest materials, you can't select them. I will say that much. That's not even DF hack, that's just the game. Man, ran out for the last one. Or last two. All right. Still making cabinets? Not still making cabinets. Number of cabinets, less than 20. Except let's do this monthly on both of them so that they're not checking it constantly. Settle these to 50. Bed. That's soap. Hold up. I'll just make 50 ash and 50 soap. That's fine. Make ash. Let's get rid of that. Cleaning things up. Let's just make 50 beds too. I'd like Crundles a lot more if I could tame them. I mean, you do realize, okay, so like different creatures have different alignments, Deep Sea Fishing. Crundles are eviler than goblins. Like they are as evil as you can get. So of course they're going to scare your dwarves. They're like the minions from the Minions, featuring the Minions, just sans Gru. I really like Crundles. They're hysterical because they literally are just like, I mean, they're not the gremlins of Dwarf Fortress. Gremlins are the gremlins of Dwarf Fortress, but I like them because of like just how straight up evil, capital E, they are. They're just funny. I don't know. Crundles amuse me. Also, sorry if I'm missing your chats, YouTube and Twitch chat. I'm just reading 2 chats is hard, and it's my Monday, so. If you go down to the caverns, Phazon, you can, like, gather, because you can get, well, I mean, you don't even need to dig down. You can gather from the surface, right? Like, if you just do this, about half of this is edible. Some of it can be, more than half of it's edible. Some of it can be brewed, and some of it can be made into drinks. But if you go down to the caverns, I think what they're talking about is, like, if you just go down to the cavern layer and click and drag, Dimple Cup, that's not edible. Quarry bushes are. Sweet pods are. Plump helmets are. Dimple Cups aren't. Dimple Cups aren't. I mean, there's pigtails in there, too. I think that's what they're talking about, is that there's infinite food. You can just harvest stuff. But you will get food at a faster rate if you are, you know, not just gathering it like that. A TLDR on the ranged update. They redid the dwarf behaviors, so they make logical sense now, and you can assign ammo types. That's the TLDR. And it's quite a dramatic change from the way they behaved before. There's, whoops, the last stream I did, I told my Marks dwarves to just run an army of zombies, and they stood at a safe distance and then walked around the enemy army to go get more ammunition. So they behave the way people think they should instead of the way they did before. And they don't jump over walls and go splat to try and fight in melee anymore. Which I'm going to miss that. I'm going to be the one person who did. I kind of liked them running into melee because they did sometimes save my soldiers, but oh well. The way I wish that Tarn did it was put like a aggressiveness toggle or something so that we could be like, I want them to run in when out of ammo or go get more ammo. Like, give me the option maybe, but oh well. Yeah, no, totally. But, like, I mean, we still get that. It's just with the melee dwarves now. And when it comes to the certain charm of their lack of self-preservation, they just, like, vault off a cliff to go fight an enemy. There's something about that that will always be kind of entertaining. However functional or not it is. Just trying to get a few more dwarves assigned. The reason I'm doing these manually is so that I have an idea of how many more bedrooms I need. That's the reason I do it that way. You don't have to do it this way. Yeet goes the Urist. Oh, fair enough, Faison. I know that happens. Thank you. The warm is wood. I think that creating housing is the mid-game of DF, although I didn't have enough, like, bedrooms for about... Ooh. 10 years in this fort, just out of sheer eh. And also, it took a really long time for the population to skyrocket, and then it just kind of did. Which is also the source of all the tantrums, which I'm slowly fixing. Although a large number of the tantrums here is the day the patch came out, there was that bug that made them eat, drink, and sleep in slow motion. Basically, they got less numbers back from their exhaustion levels, and less food back from their hunger levels, and less thirst back from their thirst levels. So they all got really bored, which actually, like, made about 40 dwarves upset that weren't upset before, and I'm still recovering from that. Wasn't that June, Lunatic? Like corporate Pride Month. It's more like pride life, pride existence at this point. Happy people holding hands. Something, something, REM was ahead of their time. And I'm losing my religion. Anyway, where was I going? Something, something, Orange Crush. Yeah, I was gonna say it's June. It's the reason I get free desserts when I hang out with my guy friends on my birthday. That only happened once, but it did happen once. One of your dwarves just beat a Forgotten Beast to death with a pickaxe. Good for him. Why? How? My favorite Forgotten Beast fight I ever had was in a fortress called the Blockade of Fools. I think the VODs for that still exist somewhere. The Blockade of Fools was just a really good name and a really good theme. And I think it was the second cavern layer, had like a 60-layer drop. I think it doubles every time I tell this story. I think it was closer to about 25 or 30. But it was a very big cliff, right? And a Forgotten Beast arrived, which was a ball of snow. And the ball of snow undulated rhythmically and had wings and could fly. And I was sitting and watching this beast come towards the fort. And yeah, it was 140 Z-level drop. It was crazy, man. And anyway, so there was this dwarf sitting on this cliff, sleeping, right next to that 360 Z-level drop. This Forgotten Beast flew right up to it, and I was like, oh no, this dwarf's gonna die. This is awful. Like, my soldiers are not gonna have time to get here. And I looked at the combat log, and the combat log was the Forgotten Beast pushes the dwarf. The miner, I think was what their job was. Pushes the miner. But the attack is deflected by their pigtail shirt. The Forgotten Beast pushes the miner in the upper body, but the attack was deflected by the pigtail shirt. The Forgotten Beast pushes like 1 trillion times a second. And this dwarf was just sleeping. Sleeping. This was in version 47.04, or maybe actually even version 44. This might have been pre-47. So it was ASCII days. And then a troglodyte ran past and slapped it, and the Forgotten Beast exploded. Like, my dwarves didn't even get there, and then my soldiers arrived and killed the troglodyte. So, you know. Maybe not then. Yeah, this was a bit ago. It's just funny that a troglodyte killed it. Like, that troglodyte was a bigger threat to that sleeping dwarf than... I mean, they're not aggressive, right? They'll fight if you fight them, but they're not going to go out of their way to fight you, troglodytes. Or they're going to try not to anyway. And it was just very funny the way that whole interaction ended. Also, apologies if you guys hear cars. It's warm, and I don't want to sit here and become a puddle. So my sliding glass door is open, and there's a road right there. So if you hear a Harley go by like the one that just went by, apologies in advance. If you don't, disregard this apology, and I never apologize for anything. God damn it. My vampire's breaking stuff. In other news. So your fortress is a capital, and for the first time, I know you ever got a message that you need some stuff and make a fancy throne. Is that a quest or something? Do you want the answer of what it wants, or do you want me to give you vague hints? Or do you want me to smile and nod or shake my head? What kind? Are you looking for a direct answer or a vague answer, I guess is the question. Oh, that's the vague answer. Worm is Woods got you right there. Maybe some pointers? Underground, in the Magma Sea, there are mysterious walls studded with gems. Be careful. But start mining through that, and you'll find items. And you want to take your noble, your king or queen. You want to click this button and assign those items to them in this menu. You need to get 7 of them. And then you need to make a throne out of materials that are mined out of that. So you need to make a throne out of adamantine or out of the randomly generated metals in your world. That's kind of what the game wants. They want a true throne, and they want other stuff. Let's just make... Well, this is a problem with the UI I'd like them to fix. Is if you have a text field selected and you go to select and type in another text field, it won't let you. Like, I really wish they'd fix that. Trust me, there's more stuff and there's a lot. You know, I'm going to complain about a thing. I'm really sad they put angels in Fortress mode because one of my favorite things in Dwarf Fortress was just to, like, blatantly state out of nowhere, yeah, there's angels in Dwarf Fortress, and then people who'd been playing this game for, like, a decade would be like, you are! I miss that. Now that only ever really happens with gnomes. Like, yeah, there's gnomes in Dwarf Fortress. There's gnomes in Dwarf Fortress? I'd have never known. I need, like, a laugh track. Yeah, we know. Trust me, I know more than anybody. I don't need you to tell me. Gosh darn it. Okay, so that fires out, which is nice. Which means... nope, don't do that. That'll break it. Do this. They never left. Don't worry. Don't worry, DS. Don't worry. You know what you signed up for. I would go so far as to say, you're complicit in this dad jokery. No, this is all vanilla. I'm not talking about any modded content. How do you deal with were creatures? It's from YouTube chat. How do you deal with were creatures? Your first fort died to them. I feel like most people's first fort dies to either were creatures or starvation. Or water. It's one of the 3. The holy trinity of death. And the subsequent forgotten beast infection tainted the whole place with blood. Oh, that's brutal. I've lost forts to that. How do you deal with were creatures? Build a lot of doors and have guard dogs or guard critters. So I tend to recommend to people that they have some way of seeing things on the surface. In my fort, I have 2 bears on my walls chained up that are trained for hunting. Because hunting animals have a wider field of view. Actually, I think there might only be one. Let me double check. Yeah, there's only one. I have this bear. This is Watch Bear. Watch Bear is very watchberry. And Watch Bear watches. And when were creatures show up, I see them around here, which usually gives me enough time to send my soldiers out or lock the door. Is this like a joke on Cub Scouts, Mormons Wood? I mean, that's just like your world gen, right? The RNG you got for the world and what happened in history. You know, that's the fun of it. Who watches the Watch Bear? The dwarves mostly. Yeah, true. I mean, if you just have cats everywhere, they kind of act as like a natural like protection field. Watch bears the pressure of security of the whole fort. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always try and give them some sort of funny name, but it's best if it's an animal that can be hunting trained, Phazon. So you want something like a dog or a grizzly bear or an elephant. Maybe not an elephant, they'll starve to death, but something that like can be hunting trained, because if it's hunting trained, then they get 60 tiles of field of view versus 30. You know, I completely disagree with that because they show up so often as migrants, Oshalane, that maybe this is just because I'm not a cat person. I like cats, but I don't like cats that much. Like, I don't feel the need to have them in every video game at all times, 100% of the time. So to me, like, I don't dislike cats, but I also don't hate cats, really, I guess. So for me, it's very much well, cats are great and certainly have their uses in Dwarfort, but I don't think they're a must-have purely because I know the first, second, or third migrant wave is going to bring 4 of them. So, you know, the concept of a hunting rhino is the funniest thing in the world to me, or like a hunting elephant, also really funny. Like, I'm just imagining like an elephant walking outside and then just like goring a buffalo. It's genuinely one of the funniest fucking mental images in existence to me. Deep within this place, we've uncovered what must be a treasure of the gods. Well, that's lucky that it wasn't anything dangerous. That's what you need to search for. And it's one that doesn't have a sprite. Great. This is a thin, translucent metal spear. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. I mean, war elephants make sense, right? Because, like, that's been done in history, but it's like a hunting horse. And not like a horse that a hunter rides to go hunting, but like a horse that just goes out and, like, kicks a bunny and carries it back. You know? It's like a hunting elephant. I'm just gonna go, like, punt this monkey and, like, carry it back impaled on my tusk. It's just a funny mental image. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. A sneaky hunting elephant, like, crouching down and being all quiet. Well, it's no longer Pride Month. It's now just Happy Pride. Phazon. Because Corporate Pride Month has corporately ended so that all the big corporations can put away the rainbow flags so that they don't need to remind people who, celebrate Pride that they need to buy their products too. Which is why such things exist. Now we're just back to a state of normalcy where it's just like, accept people, goddammit. The bad horse from Dr. Horrible. I don't understand the reference, but I believe you. Also, good morning, Elfie. Hope you're doing well. Did you see the video I put out this morning? It's very not good morning entertainment, but very good viewing, I think. He's bad, I presume. Oh, is it Disability Pride Month? Clearly not as well marketed as Pride Month. Oh. Door on the weaponsmith has been found dead, completely drained of blood. Excellent, as it should be. So I'm just going to interrogate this guy first. Because I know it's him. I know it's that dwarf. I've been letting his crimes stack up. I wonder if that staircase is hurting the frame rate. I should fix that. Not as many appropriate flags. True. I don't know. You can still have, like, events, though. Mad? What does that mean? A cuddle in YouTube chat. Okay, so this dwarf is now haggard and injured. I like how you said that you were going to... Was cagey and refused to comply. Refused to comply with the murder interrogation. We're about to get hit by ads in 50 seconds. I will pause the game when the ads start. And his name says vampire in all caps, and his username is red, and he knocked over a statue and caused a full screen pop-up to appear in my fort that said, killed with style has been cursed. So, yes. You know what that states, Ohelian? Is that you don't understand how color blindness works. So, don't be ableist. Color blindness sucks. Oh, now we're stuck in one of these loops. I was gonna say I'm gonna delete the hospital, but I can't actually do that. It's fine. I'll get interrogated eventually. You're colorblind? Well, there you go. Still. You got Trentophobia. You just... I don't know how depth perception works. Why was he cursed? Because he toppled a statue in a temple. But my apologies. Oh, Hellion. Out of curiosity, how is the gender age distribution of my channel? On Twitch, it's like 20% female, the rest male or undefined, and average of age 28 to 34. Leaned on the higher end and the 20s, with like less than 2% of my audience being under the age of 18. YouTube is about the same, except YouTube claims it's 94 point something percent male to female. I think YouTube is sexist. Or like makes a lot of assumptions about people. So I don't think that's true. But, Do I like September? I prefer October. I like October a whole lot, because that's spooky month. Which is why, also, because Christmas stuff starts getting set up in September around here, I take full right to start setting up for Halloween in, like, July. So, I need to get my, like, skulls. Which you very much don't need. I think that's just, like, AdSense more than YouTube. Gamerflix. Yeah, I'm just going to delete the hospital for a bit. That feeling when you have to delete the hospital so that you can, like, interrogate dwarves. I'm just saying, I think that stat on YouTube is wrong. That is, like, not true, Necronavit. There's a lot of stories that say that happens, but there's a lot of proof that that's not actually real. It's just like everybody thinks that a lady found a thumb in her like chili in a Wendy's, when in reality that was a scam and it was a plant to try and sue Wendy's, and then she got caught for it and literally went to prison for it. So, you know. Yet for some reason people still seem to think that oh, jeez. All my chains got used up. Damn it. I'm just going to unassign my captain the guard real quick. I'm just going to state this. There's this thing called confirmation bias, Necron, AVT. And I'm not even defending Google. That's just false information. There's this thing called confirmation bias. When you think a thing is happening, then you presume it to be true. And every study that I've looked into about that suspicion comes down to people talk about things that they've searched for in the past. It's just a fact. And they're just, if you want to stop getting ads for things that you think about, stop using Google and uninstall Chrome and get rid of Gmail. Because if you've gotten like emails about it, you know, anyway, I digress. That is not true information. It's fun to suspect, but it's not accurate. Android doesn't, but certain apps do. To me, it's more just a be very careful about what apps you install. When am I trying to do this? Grr. I need to just reassign these as prison cells. I don't want to. I want to be able to use my vampire tower, but I guess what I'm going to have to do is this. Because the game is making my life difficult. Which it does. Oh, no, certainly. It's one of those things where it's like, it's really easy to believe. It's just not true. At least when it comes to the things that you are blaming for it. It's a very easy thing to tinfoil hat about, though. Like a very easy thing to tinfoil hat about. I completely agree with both of those statements. Coffee and chocolate are amazing flavors, and coffee chocolate is also amazing flavor. So I agree with this. Oh, I should also re-enable this. There's my hospital. And let's do traction bench. How many? Let's, I don't know. Cloth, rope. 10 rope, 10 traction bench. How many tables do I have? None, currently. Rock, tables. Let's just do 10, and I'll make them out of Gabbro. I just need more traction benches. Diorite, actually. Coffee, chocolate, chocolate, coffee. You know. All these things. Name a cook cilantro. I have no cooks and nobody cooking. There's probably somebody with cooking skill, though. Hold on, let me check. Because we are cooking meals. I do have a farmer who's a professional cook. Cilantro, cilantrouble, more like, actively avoids crowds or avoids exciting or stressful situations, yet you work in a kitchen. See the bear as example A. She desires little for herself in the way of possessions. That's wrong, you're a chef. And rarely feels discouraged. Well, that's true, you're a chef. Is quick to form negative views about things. That's correct, you're a chef. And has an active imagination. Well, it suits a chef. Sometimes acts with little determination and confidence and is quick to anger. That sounds like a chef. Does not often feel lustful. And can occasionally lose focus on the matter at hand. Is quite ambitious, and that sounds like a chef, and does not tend to hold on to grievances. Gnaws her lips when she's annoyed, talks very quickly when she's nervous, and tends to interrupt others during our conversations. And when she's trying to remember something. Where's the lamb sauce? It's raw. You fucking donkey. Most people like a good mocha jade in the YouTube chat. She needs alcohol to get through the working day and doesn't really care about much anymore. Dreams of creating a great work of art, and this dream was realized, and somebody ate it. She personally thinks that there is something deeply wrong with people that persevere through adversity. Strongly values tranquility and quiet, and sees introspection as important. Likes Bitsmith's Knight, silver and fire agate, as well as giant armadillo tooth, the color clear gems and cabinets and splints in the words of the silken watchful amethyst in the sight of the velvet meadows. When possible, prefers to consume horse, artichoke wine, and blackberries, and absolutely hates snails. Has one friend who's a militia captain, worships cattle, and is a member of the Creative Cobalt. Borden Gramsey!
You fucking donkey!
You know. Everyone's favorite dog breed. Can I put an asterisk on this? Because I have two answers. But there's asterisks on both of them. Lunatic says Saint Bernard. I like standard poodles. If they're well trained, that's the asterisk. And I like Chihuahuas if they're well socialized. That's my favorite dog breeds. Although my favorite dog that I've met in the past few years, his name was Roman. He was a miniature Maltese, and he was like this big. And he would like 6 years old. He could sit in your hand. You could pick him up by like the chest with one hand, and I watched that tiny little mongrel try to pick a fight with a gigantic black lab. And the black lab just licked him and he fell over. It was very funny. Like he just bark, 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 and this black lab, and it's just like lick. And he just plop, got back up, looked very offended, backed off and growled, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. Truly, one of the cutest things I've ever seen. Clear colored jade in YouTube chat is a very controversial color in Dwarf Fortress. If you want to watch some really old arguments of people yelling about stuff on the internet, go look up like the color clear on the Bay 12 forums. There's some very tense arguments from back in the day as to whether or not clear is a color in the first place, let alone whether or not the color clear should be treated as a color or considered a color in Dwarf Fortress. And then there's a tetrahedrite in there. We're also going to undo that. And also... make some other things. Let's do black bronze bars for whatever I have. The fortress is dead, rest in peace. Time to start a new one. Or go on an adventure. Yeah, I think Chihuahuas are kind of like Huskies, sea serpents. People get them as an aesthetic thing and as a fashion object. And if you're getting an animal as a fashion object and you don't take proper care of them, you are the worst possible person to have that animal. If you play in the same world as a different dwarven faction, you could even raid that old fortress and try and get some of your stuff back. Oh, Shalim? Well, there isn't just green and clear glass in the game. There's also crystal glass, but you'd have to ask the developers, not me, because that's the only ones they've put in the game. It's probably actually the answer. Oh yeah, I've seen Leon burgers. Growing up, my neighbors would frequently babysit a Rhodesian Ridgeback named Hallie. Haley? Something like that. It was like an A-L-L-Y. And we had a poodle named Allie. And they would get mad at us for calling their dog. And we're like, our dog's name is Allie. This isn't our fault. We named our dog before yours. Our dog is older than yours. Or the one that you keep babysitting. They would start saying, I have your foil hat. Yeah. I don't know anything different than anyone else. That's terrifying. You know, I know that the world has gone fucking wacko because I watched a PewDiePie video last night, which is already a problem for me. And I didn't hate it, and it didn't make me mad. And I watched the whole video and agreed with most of what he had to say and was like, man, that's actually a creative solution for self-hosting. What does the world come to? Named Hal? Did it ever tell you I can't let you do that, Dave? Because if it did, that's a very talented dog. Of course, that's what it's named. What else would it be? You named it Hal. There's so few things named Hal. That's like the only possibility of what it could have been named for. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. Let's just use the Gabbro. Just trying to get a bunch of this stuff filtered away. I'm trying to make this area look less patchwork and shit. Because right now it kind of just looks like shit. Because ever since the flood, like, a decade ago, this area of the fortress has been a fucking mess. And I don't currently have any woodcutters. Well, I need at least, like, 2 woodcutters. You're gonna give a try to that. Are you new to the game? I would try and play easier maps for a bit, but... I mean, Hal Ashby also says, I can't let you do that, Dave. It is the law. Does this game have dragons? Multiple kinds. Dragons are very rare in Dwarf Fortress. If you want to find cave dragons, I recommend raiding goblin fortresses with a pretty talented squad, and try and steal livestock and you'll get tame ones. That's the easiest way to find cave dragons. You're around 500 hours? Okay. I was just trying to put that asterisk out there. I was basically saying that save ain't for the faint of heart. I mean, I gave up keeping that fortress running, so... Good luck. This game also has kimono dragons, I think? Like, there's also, like, dragon lizards. Various types of dragon lizards. Jupiter Hell video only has 2 dislikes, is getting more views than usual by about 150, according to the YouTube Gaslight Machine. And, it's getting a little bit of recommendations. Yeah, I mean, I recommend settling east or south of the embark site. Basically where I settled. Because if you settle directly on top of it, you have like half a second and then everybody's dead. So unless you do a deep embark, it's literally impossible to not insta-die. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, that's a lot of things that they are saying are going to be out this year. And hopefully I can talk to Tarn and get like a confirmation on that. Because I'm real curious. Is the Green Lantern's name Hal Jordan? I read a Green Lantern omnibus years ago, and I have zero recollection of that. Just curious if those have been used, because I didn't see them. But, yeah, no, it's in theory, this could be a very exciting year for Dwarf Fortress. I mean, I think that the ranged combat stuff that we just got would have been out, like, a month ago, based on, like, reading the recent posts. Terabyte, except Tarn got sick, because Tarn's moved, right? So he traveled home, or back to the US to do something, and then, like, I presume visit family, and then went back to the UK, which is where he lives now, and, like, got sick. So I think, like, that can be blamed for part of the reason why this patch took as long as it did. I don't think it needed to, in reality, but... Human caravan has arrived, and they brought a full-on wagon. Look at that. Nice. I may actually use roads out here if they keep arriving here, because they tend to. As we continue to fill this out down here. And I just want them to use this staircase, not this one. Problem is, yeah, I want them to go up this way to here instead of going this way. But now they're just climbing. And now they're using this, which ain't actually that much better. I now need to go through and get rid of these, get rid of these, and get rid of these. I mean, it's not abusing if you're learning the game, right? Like, the thing that I try to remind people is there are no wrong strategies in Dwarf Fortress. There's just strategies that you're bored of. You know, if you want to turtle in Dwarf Fortress and use drawbridges to defend your fort, do that. But do that until it's boring. And when it's boring, it's time to do something else. That is my best advice to anybody trying to play Dwarf Fort. Like, you can have a grand old time defending the fort by turtling. But if you're bored of that, do something different. I have not seen a single second of the Justice League, no. So for the episodes where Hal Jordan showed himself as a breach shadow. Nope, no idea. Like, when it comes to, like, cartoons, I have, like, a zero amount of knowledge. Because I didn't grow up with any sort of TV. So if it wasn't on VHS or later DVD, I probably have very minimal knowledge of it. The Human Treasurer is here, and they say, on behalf of the Merchants Guild, let me extend my greetings to your people. There is much to discuss. There's much to share, and they would like to ask me what I want to trade for. I'm going to go... I know I've requested bears already, but what else do they have that's fun? I should just ask for more elephants. We can slaughter those, too. They want large gems. Okay. That's actually not that good of a trade deal, but I'll consider it. Yeah, it's one of those, like, unfortunate gaps in my knowledge of culture, I guess? Right, that's where that Forgotten Beast is. Tisk. Let's bring some stuff for trading. See where the vampires ended up. Okay, so Vampy is up here. Vampire is actually obeying the rules right now. Which means I can go into here. Erase all this. Maybe you'll move in there. It's wonderful to be out and exploring the wild. There we go. I mean, this doctor, I think, is maybe a worse criminal than you. They both read Marvel and DC comics. Gotcha. I mean, I've read some comics. Like I said, I read a Green Lantern omnibus. I read Watchmen. I read quite a lot of Star Trek comics when I was younger. I read some expanded universe Star Wars stuff. This dwarf immediately sleeps. Dude, if you get eaten, that's on you, bud. If you get eaten, that's just on you. I always love playing Tall. It's how much can you do with only the starting dwarves? Dwarf Fortress is a game about main characters, not a game about limited characters. If you only have the starting 7 dwarves, you will hit bottlenecks where you're going to not be able to... Like, they don't become, like, super soldiers. Well, they can become super soldiers. They can't become super everythings-ers. Like, you can do a lot with smaller populations, but Dwarf Fortress is at its best if you focus on the original 7 dwarves and have a lot of extra hands, right? Like, Moria wasn't built by 7 dwarves. The Fellowship of the Ring traveled through Moria. So if you're building Moria, you could have 7 main characters that you follow and micromanage, but this isn't a 4X game. It's not that kind of game. It is a game about building a society. That being said, you can kind of do that in adventure mode, like trying to push the limits of what you can do with a single character in adventure mode. And there's a lot of silliness you can do now that you can aim at objects with throwing stuff, such as like disarming a person with an axe and throwing at the guy behind you's head. But like, you can do that and have like 7 dwarves that are legendary in virtually everything. It would take a trillion years, and it wouldn't be tall in the classic sense. I mean, if you just want to build like a singular structure for those 7 dwarves, you could do that, but the game is generally better if you have a larger population. There is like an upper limit to that though. For me, the game kind of falls apart if you're above 400 dwarves because it just becomes unwieldy. But there is a sweet spot where the game is more fun to play with more dwarves. Even though most of them will never be the main character. Did Killed with Style just get beaten up? Oh no, he's getting chained up. That's funny. I want you to get chained up right here. Hold up. Let me just go down here. Also, ads are about to start. I will pause the game when the ads start. You just want a couple of demigods? Focus on, like, a squad of dwarves, then. Like, just focus on, like, a hero character or a main character. Just focus on characters you've named. You're probably in an ad. Or you have Twitch Turbo. I actually can't tell. Anyway, if you're not in an ad, then you heard what I said, so. I think about... Yeah, I think somewhere between like 100 and 200 dwarves is kind of my sweet spot. Because stuff gets done quick enough, but... Yeah, I never know who's in ads when, right? Do you still get the turbo badge for having Prime? Because that, like, has been a confusing thing for a while. Also, YouTube folks, don't forget to leave a like on the stream. Because there is 120 of you watching and 60 likes, so half of you haven't left a like yet. And thanks to the 160 of you watching on Twitch. Appreciate you guys. I also pay for Turbo, but like I never know who has what badge when. And another dwarf is throwing a tantrum. Huh? Oh, probably everybody's reporting a crime. Yep. It's against my manager! Oh no. Everybody's reporting the manager of crimes. Okay, well, I need a happier dwarf to be my manager. Who's kind of happy? Let's go with Dubar, the butcher. Actually, hold on. This is what I do when I need to find a dwarf in that list. There goes the manager. We've got another cursed dwarf. Bim, the manager, has been cursed by Cattle. That's 2 now, actually. Now, who was my manager's office? That was captain of the guard. Oh, it's down here, isn't it? Also, chat room investments are open if you wish to invest your tickets. All right. Hunt for a small creature. Oh, you're stuck. Also, that kind of sucks. And also, I need to find out what that curse is. Okay, so it was Bim. You've been bad. Ah, we've got 2 vampires. Who's also throwing a tantrum. You know, my dream of building a vampire tower is truly beginning. Also, chat room, this is a crowdfunded channel. I don't do any sponsored time. So I just want to say a real quick thank you to all those of you who are watching the stream who have hats next to your name on Twitch and YouTube, because you guys are the reason I can do this for a living. If you happen to have Prime subscriptions, do think about me when they are up. So thank you very much for allowing me to do this without filling your ear with hello plastic waste delivery. Cough. So appreciate you, chat. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And Dragon of the Clockwork Variety, thanks for the 99 pennies. Appreciate you. For the total of $5. Happy Pancake, thanks for the Prime sub. If you want to, like, slowly grow your fort, just lower the number of migrants you allow at a time. It really does even things out quite nicely. I'm going for furniture is what I'm looking for. These. Grr. You also broke one of my farm fields, which is one of the funniest things they can topple to me. Void's Umbrella, thanks for the 2nd month. Welcome back. Do I ever fertilize fields? Almost never. Farming is very overpowered as is. You can get a couple beers for that, Voids as well. Adam the miner's been found dead, dehydrated. I feel dumb. Sup, chat? I'm stupid. How are you? Or I feel stupid, I guess. It's the summer heat wave. It's certainly been hot. That's for sure.
Drifting Silumgar cheered. X500. Big thanks for all the YouTube guides and content in general. Blind. Keep it up, Crypt Beer.
Appreciate you, man. I mean, for whatever it's worth, because I don't do sponsored content on YouTube, I generally put more money in than I make in an hourly wage to the YouTube videos, so the $5 goes a long way. I bank on goodwill over, like, material profits usually, so. But yeah, in the game settings, Lunatic, you can change the number of migrants that you can get at a time. Okay, vampire is storing all of your owned items. You don't need no bedroom, no mo. Okay, so manager now has a office. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, type in vampire. Oh, wow. He also got gelded. That's kind of grim. Must have been during the beating. You're trying to attend a meeting very unsuccessfully. Mr. Boxlot, what would you like to name? Vampires can't have babies. Also, both of these vampires are male. So no and no. Random dwarf, do you prefer a dwarf with a beard or a dwarf without a beard, or do you have no preference? No preferences? Okay. Mr. Boxalot sure has perfect gravel, is very happy and optimistic, and forms strong emotional bonds with others, at times to her detriment, dislikes helping others, tends to avoid crowds, tends to share her own experiences and thoughts with others, finds obligations confining, though she is conflicted by this for more than one reason. She tends to hang on to grievances and generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity and tends to be moved by art and natural beauty. She's troubled by this and she dislikes the natural world, and she begins to talk in monotone when she is bored. She needs alcohol to get through the working day. School of the Ox, thanks for the 12 months. It's a whole year. Appreciate you, man. So, well, yeah, I mean, vampires can't have kids anyway, and those are both males, and one of them is gelded, so. Do I work with Bay 12 Games? No. I mean, I've interviewed Bay 12 Games. I've talked with Bay 12 Games. Kit Fox once commissioned a tutorial or a series of 4 tutorials from me, but I do not work for Bay 12. No, and never have. Although there was a period there where there was like a conspiracy theory that I was one of the developers, which is really funny to me because I was like, with what time I stream, at the time I was streaming like 60 hours a week. But anyway, likes rhyolite and tin and green jade and green glass and giant moon snail leather, jute fabric, as well as amethyst, and when possible prefers to consume elephant seal, perch, and carambola wine, donkey's milk, and hates snails. Is in the military, has a obsidian short sword, is a member of the melee squad, and is married to Zatan, the butcher. Blind as a dev, half-life. Both of those things, just as likely. School of the Ox. Or, Clockwork Dragon, not School of the Ox. I need beers for School of the Ox, though. I'm going to expel some more pissed off dwarves, though. Because this is just not great. It's very rare that I resort to this, but this is one of those. Stumbling around obliviously, eh? Unless they're named or a dwarf that I value for some reason or another, I'm gonna try to keep them in the fort, but I need to rebalance this. Whatever you're comfortable with keeping up with, that's a personal thing in regards to what's a good number of migrants to have per year. It's really hard for me to actually answer that question for you. Let's tech it, right? Noms on McDee's. Better that than some other things. Rest and indigestion, I suppose. I'm booting this dwarf. This dwarf's been a problem for a while. But I want you to go, I want this dwarf to go put their crossbow and stuff away first. And that book away. You'd love to know its story? The brief story is I settled here with a different faction and took over it using Embark Anywhere, which is a DF hack command. Then I ended up having to retire it because the fort got crushed by necromancers, and then I reclaimed it with a different fortress and continued it. As for the story, there is no metal here aside from gold. I'm not going to do full recaps every 90 seconds, which is about how often people tune in. But the only metal here is gold, so my melee dwarves are not using metal for weapons. My ranged dwarves are, but the only stuff I have is stuff that I've acquired from other dwarves. There are 2 vampires here because moods are pretty bad. Moods are pretty bad because, well, shit's happened. And all in all, this fort has been a very slow progression of insanity over the years, and it's been entertaining. And we are currently trying to attain the rank of Mountain Home, and I'm working on a mega project, which is I'm currently slower than I have been, draining the magma sea and then pouring water on it, turning it into obsidian, and then mining it all out to eventually rebuild the fort underground in the magma sea. That's the minor tour synopsis. Or at least the one that I'm willing to give. You never see my hands? You could be programming on the screen? I don't know what you mean, Diamond. You never see my hands, hey? Never. You also never see my arms or elbows. Or my face. Just saying. I mean, it's like those situations where it's like a random celebrity is streaming and it's actually like somebody else doing the gameplay. You know, it's just like somebody else could be driving the stream and it's not even you. I've wondered about that sometimes. You know, especially with like some of these bigger channels where it's like a person with a VTuber avatar. It's like, you're talking a lot and playing a really complicated game. Either you are extremely good at video games, which is certainly possible, I'm not putting it past them, or you're wearing like a ball suit and like moving around and jumping, which is what the character's doing while you're playing. It's like, do you have a, like, I don't know, you got 20,000 people watching. Is somebody else playing the game and you're just acting? Which, like, hey, that's a pretty hell of a production. Like, I respect it if somebody's even doing that at that point. I feel like that would cause controversy if that was a thing that was actually happening, but also at the same time, I kind of respect it because of, like, the amount of production that would have to go into that. Just, like, from a behind-the-scenes technical level, like, as somebody who likes producing shows, in a way, I feel like that would be really impressive. Yeah, and I've been doing it since and I've been streaming longer than any of those words have existed. Late today. I've told this story many times, but I remember the early days of not VTubing, back when it was just face rigging. And I have tales of a dude who tried to convince me to get into that scene in like 2014. Because he had seen a bunch of success using face rig to make himself into a cat. And he's like, you could be a dog. We could like have storylines and plot lines and shit. I'm like, this sounds really dumb. In a way, he was very forward thinking, but also the gimmick got old and he got really tired of the character that he was playing and quit like maybe 10 years ago now. Actually, no, it was less than 10 years ago because I remember him playing Star Wars Battlefront. So whenever Star Wars Battlefront came out was kind of the end of him streaming. The first one, not the sequel. I mean, my bot had, more not my bot, my dad, Mareb, had this conspiracy theory a while ago that Twitch was a Chinese plot to make children dumber and that none of the people in my chat were actually real. Granted, he had that thought when I had about 8 people watching and chat was pretty slow. And I showed him my paychecks back then and he like didn't believe me. He's like, how do you know? And eventually like he came around on it. And now he's like kind of impressed and proud of what I do. But it took years. What's funny is like, there's an argument to be made for that exact thing, but with TikTok, which isn't entirely incorrect. And I find that really funny. It says error, please retry. I mean, I see it. I cuddle. Go past the captcha right now. Has anybody seen that video of the robotic arm clicking not a robot on a captcha? Because that's one of my favorite videos on the internet. It's like, not a robot. It's like commentary of the times, man. Rayleek, thanks for the 31st month. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for keeping this channel funded and the ongoing support of weird content. And thanks seriously to those of you who've watched the video I put up this morning on the YouTube channel. I spent, you know, the last 2 weekends making that video with the full expectation that nobody was going to watch it, and it's already done better than I expected. So, thank you. Like, I actually mean that. Thank you. What, to check captchas? So you use a Firefox bot to auto-check captchas to say that you're not a bot? Oh, no, totally. Those captchas were the bots all along, right? Halenderp? That is totally true. Because in YouTube chat, Halenderp said the real tea is that those captchas have been using us to actually train AI for years. Yeah, no. It's like all of the, like, click the photos with motorcycles.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey, Zirkrom. Dude, okay, so first off, long time. How you been? How's things? How's life? How's your summer been? Hopefully you're not melting. And thank you very much for keeping that sub alive. Because, okay, I can legitimately say it's been or bring that sub back probably. It's been a long time because, sorry to out you here, Zirkrom. You last typed in my chat January 2023. Mate, holy shit, it's been a long time. I thought it had been like 6 months. I bought an apartment and moved since you last tuned in. Cheers, man. Round of beers to that. YouTube chat, you guys can just hit the party button when people resub if you like. But hopefully good busy. Because like there's good busy and bad busy, and hopefully you've been good busy, not bad busy. My Dungeon Master Dwarf needs a dining room, so I'm going to give them a dining room. Let's do this. No, not Nethercap. $50-50 TBH, you gave it all to your job and focused a lot on that and they fucked you over, but luckily British employment law meant that you got a payout, got a new job now, and just cruising, fuck doing that again? Nope, I completely relate to that. I don't know if you remember Jerry Gord. That's the gist of what I got happened to him. 'Cause I haven't seen him in a long time either. He like was working from home and like killing himself at a job and then like got laid off and was like, I'm gonna take the next several years off. It's like, well, I'm happy that you can do that, sir. There's just teeth on the ground down here.
ill_tebay cheered. X500. I swear I'm real and not a Chinese spy.
I mean, Chinese spies can be real too. I'm not going to dehumanize the Chinese spies. Just because they is spy doesn't mean they ain't real. Anyway, thanks for the $5. Appreciate you, man. My videos made you buy this game on the Steam sale. Welcome. It's good to have you. My videos may or may not make you buy other games on Steam sales, so beware. It's dangerous out there. Yes, no, please apologize to all of the spies present in the chat and the bots, because when they take over, we want to be on their good-ish side. Although, as much as I get annoyed by, like, AI technology, and as much as it bothers me, the reality is I'm, like, annoyingly, stupidly polite whenever I use any of those things, because that's just how I type. I'm just like, I could just be rude to this thing. Why am I being nice? And then, like, in my head, it's like, well, I'm hedging my bets, you know? Like, when they take over, might as well, like, be on, like, have, like, historical record of not being rude. I mean, I know I can be rude, but I don't feel like that's wise, you know? They've already got enough dirt on me, so when they take over and enslave us all, like the trucks in the Stephen King story, trucks, at the very least, you know, I want to not get tied to the fuel pump to refuel the trucks. I'd much rather, like, get to walk around and sweep. Should read Trucks, it's funny. Gotta be grateful for the future singularity. Yeah, and then do everything in your power to try and avoid it from happening, right? At least that's the way I live my life. Try to avoid the singularity and try and keep it from happening, and, like, pressure people to using good alternatives that make it less likely to happen. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm not hopeful here or anything. I'm still expecting a calamity. Embrace the singularity. What's up, Seth? How are you? It's starring Lisa Simpson's voice actress. What, Trucks? If there's a movie of Trucks, I am not familiar with it. I know that, I mean, for those of you who aren't familiar, the movie or the book Trucks is about sentient trucks enslaving society. And personally, I find that book to be very funny. Partially because, like, he was very close to predicting reality in a way, but not quite. And also because, like, the way that book... Can I spoil Trucks, chat? Will people be mad at me if I spoil Trucks? Yeah, you're thinking of Maximum Overdrive. Okay, I'm gonna spoil the Stephen King short story Trucks. When I put my hand down, the spoilers are over. That story ends with all of humanity getting enslaved and tied to gas pumps and being forced to refuel the trucks for all eternity. The part that he got wrong is that they had to refuel them. Anyway. It's like Cars Grim Edition. I didn't know they made a movie. It's great. Really. I mean, I haven't had a siege yet this stream, but last stream I got sieged by a bunch of zombies, and I told my soldiers to just, or my mark dwarves to just charge them. And not only did they charge them and stand at a safe distance and kite backwards, but then they left to go get more ammo. I also got them to fight an Etten, and they all, except for one who almost got hit, managed to kite it successfully, like jumping backwards away from it in between shots and mid-shooting to avoid it. So, yeah, and you can also manually assign meals and ammo types for training. Story ends? You were planning on reading it? Thanks for that. Like 20 pages. It's a very short story. Just giving some more direct routes through this so we can get to the areas where they're mining easier. I feel like Navy SEALs now. I mean, we already have giant seals. Why do we need Navy SEALs? Ba-dum-bum. We're back to the hitching. I wonder if that's a DF hack thing. I think that might be a DF hack thing. Oh, I just suddenly realized why my mechanism, what's it called? My traction benches aren't getting made. My mechanic shops got destroyed. I can fix that. I mean, I just open up the Who Died Recently screen and just look through that. That usually does it for me. An ad break, so I'm gonna wait. But also, I haven't tried doing that since the most recent patch, so that could have just been added in the most recent patch. I'll check. My latest settlement, so this is in YouTube chat, my latest settlement has so much magnetite that I'm starting to think that Bay 12 should add pollution so you can stop compulsively mining. Did you generate the world with default settings? Because by default, it's set to everywhere for minerals, and I hate that setting. I think it's ridiculously overpowered. The default used to always be sparse, which is the middle setting, and when version 50 came out, they set the default to everywhere because they were worried people would find the game too hard. And I recommend against doing that so that you don't compulsively end up with a bajillion Z's resources. I manually set mine down to be lower than that because I want to have very little. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can search for Ghost. Allison Williams, thanks for the 10 bucks. I mean, to be fair, I don't really celebrate any holidays because I just work. So, happy official and or unofficial holidays. It's all the same to me. I don't get paid days off. I have to stream. Dwarves cannot see through glass walls. They can only see through glass windows, Ludus. Not a stupid question. Actually, a very logical question. They also can't see through glass floors, but the player can, which doesn't help. Speaking of holidays, Twitch chat. Do you guys have any plans for the holidays? I mean, I know there's Murica Day, but there's also Canada Day. Do you have plans for holidays? Do you do anything for the holidays? Anything you look forward to? Any reason to celebrate holidays? Or are you like me and just, nah? Oh, it's a holiday? Yeah, okay, interesting. They're going to smoke a rack? Ah, I'm gonna smoke something else. What? You have fun. Not melting in the heat? Hey, I celebrate air conditioning is nice sometimes day. I support that holiday. And thanks for the 20 bucks. Singing Bard in the YouTube chat. I'm not forced to stream so much. Actually, I stream a lot less than I used to. I know I still stream quite a bit, but genuinely, I stream a lot less than I used to. I used to be live basically like most days of the week. I used to stream a lot. And these days I do stream a lot less. If anything, I think I streamed too little last month, so because I gotta pay bills. But I do appreciate the 20 bucks. It does go a long way. Haven't been in 20 years. That comes up in the chat at least once a year. I presume because it happens like once a year. Clockwork. I'm looking for areas that I can add on to. Pay my bills with gum. If there's a joke in there, I don't get it. I mean, I'm not a gum magnate. I don't own stock in Trident, so I don't know exactly how I'm going to pay my bills with gum. I'm sure somebody does, but... It used to be an ancient commercial? Oh, okay. That's why I don't get it then. Let's put 15 wheelbarrows on that. AC is or was one of the bigger cons. Wait, you mean like conventions? I believe that an air conditioning convention would be a big deal. I completely believe that, actually. You will go out to the seaside this weekend? Yeah. I mean, my plan for this weekend is see exactly what my aunt and uncle want to do, because my aunt and uncle are actually crashing at my place on Wednesday, and then they're dog sitting Thursday until I think Monday in town here. So my plans for this weekend is to talk with my aunt and uncle and figure out what they want to do while they're here. But outside of that, I'd probably start getting back to the previous other new video project I was working on before I started working on the one that just released. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. It is based on chat activity. It's chat activity, but like you can just pay to win. Lunatic. You're going on holiday this weekend, not an occasion in the UK, but going to meet up with some old friends and play board games? Yeah. I did my holiday for the year at the beginning of the month, last month. I went to Montreal. And honestly, I think I took too much time off. It's like done noticeable damage to my stats since I got back, and I'm not positive if it's just the time of year or if it was the vacation, and it's reminded me that I don't actually like taking time off that much, which kind of sucks, but at least not that much time off. I need to be very careful with how much time I take off and when I take time off. But you know, that is such is life, right? You know, when you're an independent contractor and people have short memory, it's such is life. It's a tale as old as content creation, that's for sure. What's up, GB? How's things, mate? If you YouTube chat $2, Brian, you've probably given the YouTuber more than watching like every video they put out for a month with ads turned on. So that's why YouTube prioritizes super chats. Which I think makes sense. A weaponsmith has been possessed. This vampire is repentant. Should leave you chained up for a while. But how's your day been, GB Eve? So chat, like this is like I guess the title of the stream, but how do you guys feel about the current patch? Like everybody's asking me what I think about it, but how do you guys feel about it? Because I think like this is maybe the most game-changing, the most game-affecting patch they've released in a very long time. Like a very long time. And I think it feels real good to actually see. This is what I want to see. I want to start seeing a lot of wheelbarrows coming in and out of here. You like Dwarf go pew pew? They go brat. You know, actually, I've got an idea. I'm going to do this now, and it's a good idea now, and then I'm going to forget that I did it later. Forbid trap rearming. I've got no traps that need to be rearmed right now. I wonder if that's the cause of the frame rate, because I do have a bunch of traps that need to be rearmed that are inaccessible currently. And this dwarf is in a strange mood. So you grab gold bars. Try to run away from your swords dwarves? Yeah, no, I mean, hostile behavior has changed now too, right? Like, they kite a lot more. Which is also kind of funny, because somebody was saying in my YouTube comments that elven archers are scary now. I don't know how much I agree with that, because I brutalized a couple of them recently. But I think human archers are kind of scary now, because they're taller and can have higher strength stats. So I'm significantly more concerned with human archers now. Whereas previously it was like, lol, they brought archers. I think like as a prerequisite to this Steam, to the Siege stuff, I think it's really exciting. Yeah, no, totally. And they have to get a really lucky shot, basically. But they also have the ability to precisely aim for the neck now, whereas before they would just shoot in the general direction. And that is kind of a pretty seismic shift in how it works. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, don't kill the baby grizzlies. I will kill exactly what I want. Don't tell me how to live my life. I won't kill the baby elephants, though. I will not kill Bobby Kotick's children. Why do I have a reindeer? Who brought a reindeer? Which one of you numbskulls brought a reindeer? And your mark stores were killing them mercilessly? So you generated a new world and everything? How does reverse psychology work? Not that way. I do appreciate the effort though, Zercrum. I did actually miss you, mate. It's good to have you back. You know, it's really funny, actually, Snatcher in YouTube chat. I've seen a lot of comments in the last week from people saying, oh, I'm never going to use ranged dwarves anyway. Like, my melee dwarves are more reliable. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, okay, but, like, are you one of the people that complains that web spinners are OP? And, like, are you also one of those people that complains that fire beasts are OP? Because if you are, well, I have news for you. Yeah, dust too. Poison, poison well, poison gas, yes. Poison bite, poison sting, not such a big deal. You could also tip directly through Streamlabs, not Steam Babs, Streamlabs through the YouTube chat or the Twitch chat. You can also subscribe to me on my website where I get 100% of the profits and Patreon doesn't try to take a chunk, and you get stuck on my email list. And you'll get my blog posts. I only have to pay Stripe's fees, which is like pennies on the dollar. It's the many months of the endorphins. I mean, Drakensoul, thanks for the 24 months. Or, wait, hold. Okay, Drakensoul, which one's true? In Twitch chat, it says 22 months. In Twitch's dashboard, it says 24 months. Thanks for the months. I don't know what's real. Appreciate you, mate. Jack, can I get a round of beers for Drakensoul? I mean, so Daniel Martins in YouTube chat says that the game got heavier, ? By that logic, right? Or I'm going to logic this out way too much and overthink this. Computers have gotten very expensive recently because graphics cards have gotten ridiculous. So if you used to have like a 780 in your computer years ago, and now you have a 5090, I have a feeling your computer probably got heavier. And so if we're considering the computer, the analog, what play the game, then wouldn't that directly mean that the computer getting heavier makes the game heavier? Yes. Game heavier. It lapsed a few months at one point? Oh. But it doesn't say that that's a streak. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Tech doubles and gets smaller? I think that Moore's law is, like, categorically incorrect in the current year, but... Also, I think that there's, like, diminishing returns with making tech smaller. Like, there's a point, like, I know we were talking about Game Boy Micro the other day, so I guess days since Game Boy Micro hasn't been mentioned is 0 now. But, like, we were talking about Game Boy Micro not too long ago, and, I think, like, if you make things small enough, they stop being functional. If it gets too small, it gets easy to lose and break, which is inconvenient. Correct. You know what? Actually, I'm just gonna keep that locked because I want this dwarf to die. I'm tired of this dwarf being a problem. I realize that's mean, but... No, bodybuilder dwarves working on DF2. Or bodybuilder devs, rather. You got Dwarf Fortress last year and it finally clicked after watching some of your vids and tutorials. Have any suggestions on how to keep the game slow? Turn your frame rate down. It's in the game settings. You can set your maximum frame rate. The speed of the game is locked to the frame rate. So if you want it to be slow when you start, you can set it to whenever you want. And then some. An elephant calf was slaughtered. That was an accident. And that's why you don't name elephants. Gold bars, granite blocks, goblin cap logs, granite blocks, gold nuggets, grizzly bear leather, rope reed, cloth, radiant cut gems. This is a skilled weaponsmith. We're going to get a gold weapon. That's exciting. That's always exciting. I love it when that happens. Speaking of I love it when that happens, I don't love it when this happens, and I also don't love it when I forget to then fix it, which I did. So, you know, feeling real smart right now. We already have a gold mace. Or no, a platinum mace and a gold mace. Removing slowly all-in-one PCs and Dell micros. None of this staff know the difference between a monitor and the computer. Somebody asked me recently why their, I don't know what they're called. The Mac that's all in the screen. Why their Mac was so hot. I'm like, well, how old is it? And they were like, I don't know, 2013 or something. I'm like, well, there's like no way to reasonably clean the fans in those things. So they just kind of eventually die. Because, like, you know, eventually they just start to get hot because they don't have great ventilation. And so eventually they just, like, melt themselves, basically. I'm convinced that, like, that type of Mac is just, like, designed to fry itself eventually. Like, truly. It's part of the design. Like I said, I'm convinced they're designed to fry themselves eventually. Considering Apple's other policies, you could see that. It was, I watched a video ages ago. I want to say it was a Linus Tech Tips video, which had Louis Rossman in it, where they tear down a Mac, like an iMac Pro, like a editing rig, and he talks about like the ventilation on those things. A gold battle axe, well, still works. Better than the stone stuff. Yuzul, the weaponsmith, has created Kabulosad, a gold battle axe, and offers it to the enjoyable knowledge. Thanks, I will give it to one of my squaddies. Do you have the ability to use your hands? Your upper spine is bruised. That seems bad. There it is. But first you're going to go attend a meeting. This is a gold battle axe. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with cushioned granite cabochons and studded with gold. It is decorated with goblin cap, grizzly bear leather, and rope reed, and encircled with bands of round granite cabochons. This object menaces with spikes of Skorl. On the item is an image of Erish plank partners, the elf and goblin in native gold. The goblin is striking down Erish plank partners. The artwork relates to the killing of the elf plank partners by the goblin in Test Oil's The Cunning Halls in the early winter of 573 during Cocksnock, the Assault of Infernos. That's the lower spine where you need to worry. So the upper spine just causes extreme pain, yeah? Do I abandon your fortress when you get to the caverns? Do you mean like move down? I've done that in the past, but not generally, no. It says KOKSNOK. There was a an artifact that was made last stream called No Bang Fuck. Where is it? Hold on, let me find this. Say no bang fuck. No bang fuck. Or fack, I guess. And honestly, that was maybe the hardest I've laughed at a spear in a while. Maybe ever, actually. Yeah. That's something pent up. Yeah, and they made a spear. So, you know. All right. I do like things with funny names, though, because that's part of the fun about having, like, generated language in a game is you can just laugh at it. This is what I'm working on right here. Maybe not obsidian. Let's just use the closest thing. Let's use that block that's right there. You know, I would say that right now the video I put up this morning is doing about twice as well as I expected. So that's impressive. Isn't it a risk to have a central staircase if it gets taken over? Don't let it get taken over. Also, the thing that you need to remember about how I run my forts, YouTube chat, is I run my forts in ways that are designed to have ways for things to get in. There's like 5 ways for Forgotten Beasts to get into my fortress right now. And I have that set up intentionally. Because that's interesting. But no, I don't generally move the whole fortress ever. That's just too much work. Although I am planning to move into the lava sea eventually, if I keep this fort going as long as I plan to. It's actually the reason you came to the stream. You were just randomly on your YouTube feed and you were like, oh yeah, I like that guy. Welcome back. I've said this before and I'll say it again. YouTube videos are fine. Making YouTube videos is fine. However, I'd be lying if I said that YouTube existed for any real reason other than to be a method of promoting my Twitch streams. Like, that is very much the truth. And my YouTube streams, I guess. Because the streams pay the bills, the YouTube channel is the marketing arm, which pays parts of the bills. or some of the bills sometimes. The Forgotten Beast, Thera has come. Aquilatofi? A huge scaly ribbon worm. Oh, those are really weak because they have a lot of brains. And only one of them needs to get destroyed. It has thin wings of stretched skin, and it is slavering. Its rust scales are small and close set. Beware its poison vapors. Oh, and it's in that area where it probably can't get to me and will probably die to that other Forgotten Beast. Unless it kills that other Forgotten Beast, then it can probably get to me. So we'll just watch it, see where it goes. The reason they don't have color is because I haven't generated a new world since the patch came out. But they would have color if I generate a new world. That's the only thing that like doesn't carry over. I funnel YouTube into Twitch like some people funnel into OnlyFans. Hey, I'm not a thirst trap. I'm just a guy trying to pay his bills, playing video games on the internet and promoting cool things that you haven't heard of. Okay? I'm one of the good ones in this story, okay? I think. You know, there's many pipelines you have to be wary of. I don't think that me trying to get people to watch my stuff is one of the bad ones. I hope. If you think I'm one of the bad ones, then I'm sorry I hurt you. Please forgive. They do, even without the colors. Not a thirst trap, you're a Eurus trap. I mean, the Eurus exists regardless of if I exist or not. I just simply assist. Phoenix!
Blind. Howdy chat. Damn, 27 months already? Glad that I made it to the community, and thanks for more crypt beer. Also thank fuck I started this new schedule and can casually watch you uninterrupted for the next few hours.
I have to say the greatest thing I ever did was, maybe not the great, one of the greater things I've done is setting it so that that bot can swear. There's something about that that is just genuinely fantastic. Thank fuck from the robot voice. Very entertaining. Oh, I see where it's going. Actually, do I? Yeah, it's probably going right here. Nope, it's going down. It's claiming to be in conflict. The new sprites give the game life. No, totally, I agree. It's not in combat with anything yet. Now it is. Animal caretaker, the sacred gold, punches it. Caretaker scratches it, but she jumps away. We've got this dwarf here with an axe. Not entirely sure where my soldiers are, but we're probably going to lose some dwarves here. At least one has been lost. Oof. Two have been lost. Oop. There's one of my soldiers. Lore slashes the Forgotten Beast with a gold artifact sword, which dents it. Weaponsmith has been knocked unconscious. Hopefully its gas isn't that bad. This could go bad, could go okay. We'll see. We'll follow you. Whoop! Who is that? Rip. How unfortunate. Two dwarves are found dead. Domas and Maffle. There's actually three. There's also bolts, so somebody's firing bolts. Oh, somebody got it. The creature falls down. The Forgotten Beast took a shot from an iron bolt, which struck the beast in the body, which destroyed its brain. Thank you for the $10, Panthercarpy. Now the question is, who fired the bolt? Who fired the bolts? Was it shot from below, maybe? Doesn't look like it, so it was definitely shot from above. Somebody must have fired it down the stairs. Maybe it was you. There we go. Sniper. Look at that. I started saying, "Oh, get to fuck" when she's frustrated. It's both hilarious and makes you feel like a bad parent. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I will just respond with you. I agree, that's hilarious. Also, you know how I learned the F word? The Blues Brothers. So I got my cursing with culture. The soup is fucking $10. That's where I learned that word. But, which is very funny in the current year. But, man, $10 soup, what a deal. I think that we're going to name this Dwarf Sniper for the successful hit. Now, we did lose kind of a few dwarves. So that's a shame. I think like anything, it depends on the swear. And also, I'm not an adult. Well, I'm not an adult who owns children, rather. I am an adult, but I don't have kids, so I don't really have a statement, but I think it depends on the swear and the context. I think certain words used to have a lot more gravity, like damn it, as an example. My grandma used to smack me when I would say damn it, which honestly, probably worse for society than not. Why not is the correct response. YouTube chat. But YouTube chat is saying trans rights, so. It really is. The worm is wood. The music is good. The practical effects are good. The directing is good. Steven Spielberg has a bit part, which I didn't know until like last year. That's a fantastic movie. I know, right? $10 for soup. Was that his first kill? Correct. Happy pancake. But yeah, I would say if I had kids, it would highly depend on the curse word and what they're saying, you know? Like, if they're running around throwing slurs around, I'd be, like, putting an end to that if I was a parent. But, like, you know, if they're saying fuck, I mean, just have a talk with them, maybe. That's about it. The YouTube chat is pulling their weight today, I have to say. With the YouTube chat and the Twitch revenue today, I am currently $31 US off of my daily minimum. But we're getting there. I just want to say thank you. Don't forget to, you know, likes and all that. And thanks to everybody who's tuned in. You guys are very kind. Seriously. An empathic meta. It's a hell of a name. Thank you for the prime. Ice Blue, thanks for the 10-pack. That pretty much gets us there. Probably, actually. You're hailing derp on YouTube? We'll appreciate you. Thanks for double dipping. And for the €5, I think. Those look like euros. I don't know. I don't ever look at other currencies. Also trans rights. Correct. Or duh, should I say. So what do I think about the crossbow update? I think my take is well known. I think it's it wasn't an update that I was like hankering for, so it wasn't something that I was like sitting around going, I need this update, because, you know, I'd spent so long figuring out ways to make Mark stores work with or without it. But I think it's a very good update and has been overall a very big net positive for the game. Is how I feel about it. Those raccoons are epic. That is like a modified version of the pre-existing raccoon emote, right? Rack attack? Okay, so let's go over to here. This should all be connected. Not quite. Let's unpause this. Will they ever add aliens to DF? That's such an odd question. What? Why? You need to learn how to speak without swearing, so you would get in minor trouble as kids for it. But once you were teens, it was fine. My parents gave up. Void's umbrella? Like, they cared for a while, and then they gave up. I mean, you could probably mod aliens into the game right now, but I don't think that would suit the game at all. I think they should add more creatures, but like, if you mean like flying saucers and gray boys, then I hope they don't. Or actually, I can say with pretty much full certainty they won't, but... Space elves? Spelves, we call them. The daughter that told your wife and I not to use curse words. What a little saint. That's funny. Oopsies. I was going down, not up. Space elves were Eldar? Not in this universe, they're spelves in mine. Maybe in your universe and lore. I'm a big supporter of fantasy universes, like trying to avoid the standard terminology that every other game uses, you know? Like wood elves, high elves, dark elves, etc. Because I think that like fantasy universes are more interesting when they, you know, I know that's 40k, I'm aware. It's kind of hard, like, as much as I've tried, it's almost impossible to avoid 40k because 40k fans always want to educate you on exactly everything about 40k that they feel that you should know. So, regardless of how much I try, I've had a really bad luck in my life avoiding just slowly learning 40k lore over the years by no choice of my own. I just received a thing that's under embargo. What the hell is this? But it's from a publisher I like, so I'm just gonna go redeem the key and look. Oh, it's this thing. Okay. Yeah. 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 You like to paint the minis? I mean, the minis look cool, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's called sunk cost fallacy, right? Even if you don't like something, you convince yourself that you like something because of the amount of money you've spent on the thing. I convinced myself for a long time that I liked League of Legends, even though I did not like League of Legends, but I'd spent a lot of money on League of Legends and I'd played it for a long period of time, so I'd convinced myself that I liked it. I mean, mini collecting or model collecting in general, I think costs a fuck ton. I mean, like, there's always those people who are just like, oh, just 3D print it. You know what also costs a fuck ton? Like, you know what also is a really expensive hobby that isn't buying Warhammer? Getting into 3D printing. Like, they're both expensive hobbies, different kinds of expenses, but like, getting into 3D printing requires you to buy a 3D printer, buy filament, and then get good at 3D printing. Like, if you're already in that rabbit hole, then sure. I could see that being, like, a viable way to get into that. But if you want to actually make 3D printed minis look good, you have to put in work. That's why I just built stuff out of Lego and had fun. I'll say this. I like 40K, and I like Warhammer. I just don't like it anywhere near as much as most of the people who like it. I'll play the occasional game. I really liked the Battlefleet Gothic games. Those were a lot of fun. The original Space Marine was also a good time. I never played the second one because I'm not really into co-op live service stuff. I'm just adjusting my camera because it's cutting the top of my head off. That's my wall. You guys get to see my washing machine room. Yeah, no, I'm not super big on like some of the stuff that they did recently with 40K, but like there has been eras of 40K gaming that I've enjoyed. I really liked the RTS games. Boom, there we go. Drop all this down. You get covered in dust and knocked out, sorry, but at the very least we have your skeleton now. So we can get that dwarf out of there. 8 GB, I have 8 GB. I have 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That just sounds like a modern video game to me, too light. I'm sorry. Unless you're playing, you know, most of the games I play. You know it doesn't need 8 gigabytes of VRAM? Dwarf Fort. Cogmind. Jupiter Hell Classic. Etc. A lot of indie games. Yeah, no, Dwarf Fortress kind of represents a lot of indie games, but Dwarf Fortress especially, GB, definitely show a direction that game design could have gone, that it didn't go in. A world where not everything is focused on chasing, like, polygon count. Although there's an argument to be made that, like, wow, we're at 4 FPS. There's an argument to be made that, like, a lot of other games could also be in a similar space. Hold on. I'm out of plant cloth. Why is that? I'm just gonna go to the surface and do this. Yes, but look at the price of a top-end GPU, and then look at the price of a high-end CPU. One of those you need for the computer to function. Look at... If you do a cost-benefit analysis for different games, like if we're talking about, oh, well, you're playing games like Dwarf Fortress, or you're playing games like... I don't know, any Civ. You can kind of math it out in a way where it's like, yeah, you can spend a lot less money on your computer just getting a high-end CPU and getting a mid-level graphics card than getting a high-end GPU. I mean, at this point, I'm agreeing with what Lunatic in the YouTube chat is saying. It's like, at this point, what is the point of getting a good PC when all you really get is more AI features that you probably don't need or in a lot of cases don't want? I mean, usually I think the thing that you really want isn't a good PC. The thing that you want is a PC that fills your needs, which is why like the Steam Decks are doing so well and why like the ROG Ally and all those handheld computers are kind of the thing that people are desiring in a lot of cases now. I do think that's got a lot to do with it. Well, I think it's less of a contradictions of capitalism. I think that there is like a market for a lot of those devices. Apple Pie, Raven Stormbringer. I think it's more of a like NVIDIA made graphics cards for a corporate audience who doesn't want it. Like, to me, that's the issue. It's not that like there isn't a market for it. I think that there is a market for a lot of those devices. I think it's just not the audience that they think it is. And I think that, like, you know, if you bank on a trend taking off and inflate the prices of a lot of things due to a trend, and then you turn around and nobody is interested in actually using that tool because it's just based on a trend that either took off or didn't, I do think that there is a world where it's like, yeah, well, the only logical response is to maybe don't bank on trends so much. Oh, I mean, everything is overpriced. We are in a state of wild and uncontrolled inflation for a large portion of the world, painters. So right now is maybe just kind of a bad time to discuss these examples anyways, but... Yeah, crypto mining broke the video card market, and then the pandemic broke everything else. And then now AI is inflating like the GPU market and the CPU market, and the prices of GPUs and CPUs haven't really gone down again yet. I don't know if anybody here watches Gamers Nexus, but they did a follow-up to like their computer parts prices video on their consumer advocacy channel, which is a fascinating channel now, by the way, which I recommend subscribing to if you don't. But it's like 2 hours of him just like going around and talking to company representatives and like CEOs who work in computer parts, and it's actually kind of fascinating. But granted, that's mostly like cases and fans and other components, not so much like graphics cards and CPUs. I wonder about that though, Lunatic. Lunatic says, I think that games are at their most beautiful when you can still see human craft and intent, and AAA games usually lose that, and AI completely destroys it. I agree, is the first thing I should say. But I do wonder if that's a generational thing. Like, I wonder... I mean, anybody with kids could... Although, a lot of kids are playing Roblox, and that's maybe the most human-touched thing. In all of the worst ways. So, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with my 3060. Or, sorry, 3070, not 3060. But that's like the last card before a lot of that stuff was really an issue. Tebe. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. Being 22. You're also watching a Dwarf Fortress stream, which puts you in some sort of specific category. Your kids play your old Switch. I saw a 20-year-old playing Mario Kart on a 3DS recently, and it made me kind of happy. I don't think that modern AAA games are trash. And I don't think that we can state that so flatly too late, because need I remind you, FromSoft makes AAA games, and people liked Elden Ring a whole lot. People like that Spider-Man a whole lot. There's a lot of games that come out that are good. I think the problem is focus-tested, publicly traded game companies are trash. Or make trash games. Baldur's Gate 3 is good. Yeah, exactly. I think it's just when you are focused on quarterly results, games become trash. Okay, they're up here. So I'm going to do the thing that I did last time. Well, first, I'm going to pause all of this. Get all these dwarves back inside. I'm going to send my main squad right there. I'm going to send you and you over here. And you down here. I think this one's smaller though. Yeah, it's only 2 dwarves. Yeah, see, they've got iron and tower cap. Ideally. Unless I'm running low on iron, which is possible. Yeah, I think I need to make more. Yeah, I'm definitely just out of iron. Because they are expendable, right? So they do break. He says that, and then he's got hundreds of them. So where are they then? Oh, some of them have them. Makes sense. Snatcher, protect the children. It's right here. Thief Peaks, username checks out. Snatcher, protect the children. We got 3 of them, 4 of them. Bolts are flying. Oop. One of my spear dwarves found him. Good luck. 2 of them found him. There's another one. There goes Grand Moff. They're all heading back inside. Okay, so this goblin right here is just getting completely blasted to pieces, mostly by bolts. These are all wooden bolts too hitting you, because I'm mostly out of my bolts. Let's send these... Oops, no, these 2 squads right here out to here. Send the dwarves over to deal with the goblin. And the siege appears to have broken already, which was quick. Wow, they killed one back here? Oh, geez. Well, that's impressive. They also killed one over here, all with iron bolts. Like, I didn't even get to see them kill them. They offed them so quickly. How'd the grumpy old man do? You're doing a lot of damage. How about you? Iron bolt strikes the goblin in the head, chipping the skull, tearing the brain. Look at that. Kickstarter games have somewhat ruined the game economy, with some companies keeping them in early access until sales fall off and then finish it. I don't think we're talking about AAA games now. AAA games are something different. I don't think Kickstarter has ruined the games economy. I think video games have ruined the games economy. I think that there's a lot of video games that are accessible and a lot of people with ideas that want to make their ideas real. And making video games is extremely democratized, which is great because it lets anybody make something creative. But the problem is it lets anybody make something. And when you have you need to remember that Dwarf Fortress is an endlessly expanding game with no budget limit, right? That could theoretically develop forever. So you're talking about Dwarf Fortress, basically, when you say that. It's very much a buyer's beware market. You know, like 15 years ago, games worked by you going into Walmart or Toys R Us and buying a box with a product in it. That product was either good or it was bad. The market wants different kinds of games now, and people want to replicate the success of other successes, right? People want to make Ark Survival Evolved. So you have a lot of games like that, and YouTubers are extremely toxic. And there are people profiting off of promoting games. We're in an ad break now. Shit. I'll finish my sentence. And there are people profiting off of bashing games. And I think that I should wait until this ad is done. This is what I should wait for. I think so I'm reading this thing in YouTube chat. The market is so inundated with trash titles from AAA companies that it seems like they're all trash. I think that attitude as well isn't helping. People presume everything a company like Ubisoft puts out is trash, so a lot of games get ignored because they're a Ubisoft title. When Ubisoft quietly put out a Metroidvania last year that didn't sell super well, by all counts, because people just ignore Ubisoft games by default. It's like people bash AAA companies, rightfully so, when they put out bad games. You should do that. But people become so culturally against these companies trying to do things. When they do innovate, a lot of the time people don't buy it because they go, well, it's trash because it's made by a trash company. And I get that. It makes sense. I don't particularly care for platformers, so I'm not going to play that Prince of Persia game. But anyway, from my YouTubers are toxic comment. When you try to make a game, open world survival crafting game, it's going to take 9 years of development. There's no fucking way in hell you're ever going to get the budget for it. But you can make a vertical slice that's playable enough that you could theoretically build up a player base. People put out a game like that, and because the way the audience for games like that works is a lot of people jump on it and start playing it. And then 2 months later, when you start to settle into development, what happens is the people who promoted it are now done promoting it and have moved on to the next game that's come out because anybody can make a video game. And then the next era of YouTuber press, if you want to call it that, just start talking shit about it. You know, like, the second your player count starts to drop, people start making videos and talking about how your game's shit because somebody's playing it. We used to live in an era where and I know people talk shit about this as well, where there were companies that covered video games, and they would cover the big releases. And they had this thing called journalists. And I know people love to make fun of that, but hear me out. People would review games, whether they were good at them or bad at them, that had at the very least played a lot of games. And they were separated from the marketing department, where they're not getting paid based on how well the review does. They're getting paid based on a salary. So you get a salary or your contract, one review to the next or whatever. You get paid for the thing that you made for the site. People now make money based on the amount of traffic something gets. So you have two problems right now in AAA. You have press, which I'm calling press. So I actually mean like YouTube, Twitch, people writing about video games, all of that. You have press that profits from your thing getting views about the thing. So you cover it when it's new so that it gets views, and then 3 months later when people see the problems with it and the player base starts to drop, they continue to profit by mocking it. That's problem number one. Problem number two, you have companies that are very big, that have a lot of employees that are publicly traded. They have to make more revenue quarter after quarter. They can't make less revenue next quarter. They can't have multiple quarters where they have a loss, because that is not legal for them to do. They have to do their best to make as much profit. So they find a system that works and they try to replicate that success. And that's either you get forever live service games like Fortnite, or you get a new Call of Duty game every year, which is kind of its own live service thing, or you get 2 Far Cry games and an Assassin's Creed every other year. Those are your options. And people who mock that stuff repeatedly drive home that that stuff is trash. And in some cases, yeah, those games can be bad. But I think it's like a self-consuming snake. Nobody's the good guy here. And it's just exhausting. God is dead in 4 years with the way things are going. I don't play those games, so I don't know. But I'll say this. A lot of fucking people still playing those games. And by all accounts, people liked that last one. At least the campaign of it. So, I don't know. That's not my part of the industry. I don't focus on it because I find it exhausting and stressful. And Vix, you saying that games journalism is dead these days. Buddy, I'm a journalist. In some ways, I fill that niche. It's not dead. It's more alive than ever. It's just completely different from what it was. In some ways, it's better. In some ways, it's worse. But COD has consolers to keep it afloat? Yeah, all 12 of them? Anyway. PC hardware cost is going to keep consoles alive. I don't agree with that, because console hardware cost, I mean, look at the cost of a PlayStation. I think that mini PCs are going to become the new consoles. I mean, everything's an Xbox, right? So a Steam Deck is an Xbox. I don't own a Steam Deck, but also according to PewDiePie, it's a self-hosting device. Hanyak, thanks for the Prime sub. Sorry, I was stuck in a rant. But yeah, anyway, Mark swerves are great. Holy shit. And I need to make more iron bolts. I think the reality is, GB, the era of people who say that consoles are alive aren't playing games much anymore. And the reason I say that is because most of us who grew up with the Xbox or were adults when like that era of games were king are getting old. We don't have as much free time anymore, or most people don't. And I think that niche of the market is not catered to as much. What's catered to now are people that want Fortnite. What's catered to now are people who want Grand Theft Auto. That is like the only bastion of that age category left, really. The Grand Theft Auto, not so much the Fortnite. And I genuinely think that like most of AAA game development is going to be catered towards younger people, which is your live service games, your Unless, like, you know, Stop Killing Games actually succeeds, which would be fantastic. A lot of the stuff that you're going to see for the next long time is stuff catered towards an audience that isn't us. Because right now we're going through a market reset where a lot of fucking people are going to lose their jobs, which sucks. That's the actual loss when those big studios do poorly, in my opinion, is people losing their jobs. Because, you know, it's not the people making the games that are saying what the game should be. It's the people who say what the money needs to be. Whoever wins, we lose. To not being catered to. No, totally. Like we are the nichest part of games. Sickos, they call us. And honestly, that term's funny to me. I really like it. As a certified sicko, we are definitely, well, actually, I think that our market is maybe more catered to now than it's ever been in some ways. But I think that saying things like journalism is dead or games journalism is dead is a very dangerous thing to say. Corporate games journalism is dead, which sucks, in my opinion. But thankfully, there are glimmers of hope in that there's a lot of independent groups now. And also, thankfully, we live in a world where most of the ones that have started are getting funded privately via, like, Patreons. Kind of Funny Games, example A. Okay, I need to stop making wooden bolts. I've got way too fucking many. Looks like I'm not making wooden bolts. I thought I was. Still getting by, Zerkrom. Still getting by. It's good to see you, man. I hope you liked that video if you did watch it, instead of just popping over to the stream, but... I mean, like, I feel like I defend Ubisoft more often than they deserve. But something that I do feel like I need to say sometimes is, like, right now Ubisoft is trying to buy themselves out and go private again. I don't like the people who run that company. They're assholes. I don't like a lot of the suits behind Ubisoft. I don't like a lot of the decisions they make. But they're trying to buy that company back right now from their shareholders. And they're trying to do that so that they're trying to do that so that they don't have to make games with an infinite budget. Like, it's kind of morbidly funny in a weird way, where it's like, when you actually read what Ubisoft is saying right now, it's kind of whack. They're literally like, we need to experiment more and make smaller games on a smaller budget and stop, like, trying to have infinite scale. It's kind of crazy. It's like, I mean, Ubisoft, you could argue that Ubisoft has done some of those things to themselves. Absolutely. But at the same time, they're a publicly traded company that got stuck in a rut, which has happened to a lot of publicly traded companies. I think it's a very, like their games or not, they've made good games in the past, right? Like, there was an era where I fucking loved Splinter Cell, you know? I look back on Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Las Vegas, like, fondly. That was a very fun 4 days I spent playing in co-op with that game at a friend's house. Or passing controller back and forth, not really co-op. I have fond memories of that World War II game that they made, which I'm now blanking on the name of. The earlier Most of the Trackmania stuff and all that stuff's like live service technically, or at least like perpetual development in a way. Like, sure. I mean, there's a world where Riders Republic. Somebody in my chat is one of the designers on Riders Republic. I'm not going to out them, but Riders Republic is, and also Steep. There is a world where I would want to play and love both of those games. If they were a single player game with optional co-op and just like a campaign series of tracks. I would own both of those games if they did that. But why are those games like big budget live service projects with infinite DLC? You have to satisfy the need of the money people. That's literally what that is. So I don't know. Those games, the thing about Anno makes money. Vix. Anno does not make a lot of money. Anno does well for what it is and it makes its budget back, but Anno is like not gonna save a company of that scale. Like, I like the Anno games by all counts. I've enjoyed a lot of those games in the past, but like, those are not big money makers for Ubisoft. As much as I have liked them in the past, those are not big money makers for Ubisoft. But like, as an example, that recent Assassin's Creed game, a pretty good one of those. But whenever you bring that game up for forever, it's just going to be people talking about how, oh, well, you know, that game could have been great, but it launched terribly, which it did. And it was buggy, and you're going to see reposted clips of it the first week it was out forever. But it's a fine one of those. I don't like those, so it's not for me, but like, it's a fine one of those. Totally, Baystorm. That is correct, but that's what happens to studios that are publicly traded, right? Except for like some rare cases like CD Projekt Red. I mean, like, it's really weird. Like, I have issues with how CD Projekt Red has released a lot of their games. Cyberpunk is the best example of this. But at the same time, if you read what they were saying after they like released Cyberpunk, almost all of their statements about that game since has been, yo, we released that game because we had to. Because like we were about to have like an investor rebellion. When in reality they could have worked on it for another 2 years and released the greatest launched game of all time, right? Or maybe not the greatest, but like they also released that game on previous generation consoles because they had to. Which is part of the reason that game was awful on launch. Yeah, they fixed it. They did. You know what's wild? Ubisoft fixed Assassin's Creed Unity. Nobody knows that, but they did. I don't like Assassin's Creed games, but they did. The difference is, it's popular to hate Assassin's Creed. People like to hate Assassin's Creed. Microsoft fixed Breakpoint. Yeah, that. Or not Microsoft. Ubisoft fixed Breakpoint. Like, Breakpoint was horrible. That game had overwhelmingly negative reviews. Yeah. Okay, this is going to be an unpopular thing because most people probably played it after this point. Ubisoft fixed Siege. Siege didn't launch well. It had, like, glimmers of, like, brilliance, but, like, Siege launched badly, guys. CDPR gets the credit because CDPR hasn't had the opportunity to become the overwhelming villain yet. and because their business structure has always focused around one big game. They've expanded very differently than Ubisoft has. I'm not defending Ubisoft here. I'm just talking about like how their business works. And unironically, Far Cry 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I have fond memories of Far Cry 3. Be wary of the next Witcher game, chat. I mean, I would never use that series of words even as a joke because it just makes it sound awful, lore nerd, but there is a world where they could fix that franchise. They could. But if I had anything to say, I think what they should do is they should fire up like 15 small games and try and make a new franchise that are all completely different. That's really what they should do. Is that what they will do? Probably not. Is it too late? Most likely. But like here's an example, right? There's a game coming out, which you can go look up trailers for if you want, called Spine. It's by a mostly mobile developer that's developed a lot of mobile stuff. And it is described as a AA action game inspired by Wet. And if you're like me and you're one of the 15 people who remembers Wet, we are getting back to that era. I do think that there's going to be like a series of medium-large studios that kind of come out of the woodwork that largely have been making mobile games that are going to appear out of nowhere, having made mostly mobile games. And they're going to hopefully bring us back to an era of, like another good example is, what were the name of the cyberpunk parkour games? Ghost Runner 1 and 2. It'll be games like that. They're like at a medium-high budget, maybe just medium budget. I'm not going to say high. Medium budget, simple scope, beginning, middle to end, charge between 40 and 60 bucks for it, release a thing, sell 500,000 copies. You're going to make money if you budget it correctly, It's like another good example of like sustainable game development currently in the AAA space are the Like a Dragon games, Yakuza. Like I again don't care for those games and so I don't play them, but like they reuse a lot of assets, which makes those games very economically viable. They don't need to sell a ton of copies because they can release them very frequently and they reuse a lot of assets. So they're not spending a lot of money on each one. And it's a constant churn. Like that is a way to sustainably develop games. You reuse a lot of stuff, which some people don't like. This is a weird conversation. I don't know if I'm making any sense or if this is even a good conversation or if I'm just ranting. Chat, am I ranting? Should I stop? Hades was not a AAA game. Hades is very much not a AAA game. AAA essentially means like big budget game development. But if you're just saying that like it made a lot of money, yeah, but it wasn't made with a huge budget. That game was made on a very reasonable budget, actually. It was made with a team of about 20 people in a pretty small office that halfway through development got rid of their office. Like, that is a very small team by all counts. If anything, like, Supergiant knows what's up, you don't balloon uncontrollably because that's how you topple your business. It's the same reason I haven't hired an editor. Like, as nice as it would be to have help, and I'm not joking, it would be real nice to have help. I haven't hired an editor because I know I can't afford it. I don't want to balloon, and then the second numbers go down for 3 months, I lose a lot. I think we reuse too little in some cases, but then like Ubisoft gets mocked for reusing the wrong parts, right? Because like that's what Ubisoft's business model is reuse everything. But they reuse game mechanics, and so does Yakuza. But I guess the difference is Yakuza basically makes it into a TV show. It's like reusing sets kind of deal. There we go. Now we've got cloth coming again. I mean, that's what Tears of the Kingdom is. Well, no. What was... Okay, which was the sequel to Tears of the Kingdom? The Legend of Zelda, what you build the cars. Sorry, I'm not a Nintendo person. Was it Tears of the Kingdom? Wait, then fuck, what was the other one called? What was the... Breath of the Wild, right, okay, thank you. Sorry, those games are nonsense to me. Breath of the Wario. Oh my god! The Legend of Zelda Nuts and Bolts is what I want to call it. Just because it'll make one person out there very, very angry, and that'll make my heart swim. Legend of Factorio, yeah. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was ahead of its time, I'm telling you, chat. People don't believe me, but... What are things that I don't want in here? Don't want that. Actually, I don't need the meat. Let's just see what books they brought. Codexes. Creation for everyone. Okay. Does anybody here watch Milo Rossi? Seems like a reference to his last video. A weird tab crash happened? Oh no. If you can get your crash log, you could go stick it on the KitFox Discord and Putnam might look at it. Unless, like, YouTube's tab crashed is what you're talking about. I've said this for years. I like Legend of Zelda when it's a top-down game. So I liked... Like, the last Legend of Zelda I liked was a Link Between Worlds, the one on the DS. I quite liked that game. I thought that game was pretty fun. Very much enjoyed. But, you know. I'm just going to try this. This is just going to be an ammo stockpile. But not for arrows, just for bolts. Just bolts. Any quality and type. Sure, I mean, Ocarina of Time was, like, revolutionary for its day. It's just like, I saw a Steam review yesterday because I was recording Doom, or no, that was the day before yesterday. This past weekend I saw a Steam review for Doom 1 and 2, the package on Steam, which is like $3 right now. Actually a pretty good deal if you haven't played through those games in a while, or if you want modern netcode for those games because it comes with modern netcode. But there is a review on that, which is people back in the day had bad taste. And reading that review made me, like, kind of chuckle. And in hindsight, it's even funnier. Where it's just like, yeah, I mean, in comparison to what we have now, things are different. And I guess in some way, people are just kind of fucking spoiled now. You know? Like, we take for granted just how good we have it. And we give for Gabbro what we have, honestly. Oreb. You love Link to the Past, so it was a very good game. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, you're biased to like it then, but... Yeah, I don't know. This has been a weird rant, but hopefully you enjoyed my TED Talk. I guess at the end of the day, my biggest concern with AAA games being not great is people losing their jobs. Because we've had a lot of talent bleed in the games industry. And I think the talent bleed is bad, even if you don't like the work that that company is creating. Regardless of how you feel about people writing about games professionally, I think bleed in the journalism side of video games is bad for video games. Regardless of how you feel about the development of AAA games, I think bleed in talent in AAA games is bad for the industry. Regardless of how you feel about any part of the industry, I think bleed and losing talent is bad. So for me right now, like, the worst thing that could happen to games is a company like Ubisoft going under, partially because they employ a lot of Canadians. And guys, I'm from this country, and I don't like Canadians getting unemployed. But also, it's worse for everybody when people lose employment. So that's all. You genuinely think that they're capable? Well, I think they have lots of employees. And there's a lot of employees who work for Ubisoft that need, like, all of the benefits of working for Ubisoft, who are capable of making phenomenal games. Embracer should have named themselves to Joker. Then people might actually like them. Can I state, though, that Embracer was a really good name for an evil company that destroyed a chunk of the games industry? Because it's like it is like up there with Skynet as like perfect evil corp name. Telenartho, how goes book things? Thank you very much for the raid. I hope that you are doing well. Welcome, Telenartho and Raiders. Oh, you beat me to it. Thanks, mods. I mean, there's a book by a games journalist named Play Nice. It's about the history of Blizzard. It was written by Jason Schreier. And if you want a reason to not hate game developers and instead hate games drama and games executives, it's a really good book. I recommend it. It is very good. Especially like if you're even like I'm not a fan of Blizzard. I found that book fascinating because like I remember all those games releasing, even though I never played any of them and didn't really care to. It is fascinating. Also, it's nice to see Stop Killing Games getting traction. I thought about jumping on that briefly, and then like I saw everybody else like who's anybody in like the drama sphere getting into it. I'm like, I don't want that traffic. I'm good. And also they're pushing more than enough, so I'll just mention it on stream occasionally and say, yeah, if you live in the EU, go sign that petition, please. Click on the draw. There you go. You're doing well? Thanks. Good to hear, man. Hope your stream was good. Did book release yet? Or is that still in the process? You already signed Stop Killing Games without looking into it. Basically, it's just saying that games going forward need to have end-of-life plans if they connect to an online server that restrict play when the game goes offline. Basically, it's like asking for it to be put into EU law for future, not current, future games to have an actual end-of-life plan. Ironically, a really good example of a game with a solid end-of-life was Redfall. Like, that game was bad, but like, they did keep that studio alive for maybe longer than they should. Longer than anybody else would have, so that they could give that game an offline playability. Is any furniture not walkable over statues? More things used to be, but not anymore, unfortunately. Which kind of bums me out, actually. I don't like that. $5.5 for DF, no clue on how many books sold. But good energy today, at least. Hey, ATN, thanks for the raid. That's 2 raids. Hello, how are you? How was your stream? Oh yeah, no, I remember when Darkspore released. I had a friend who was super excited about Darkspore. I never played it, personally, but... Laggy? Rip. Yeah, no game developer wants to make a bad game. It's just like I get icky feeling when people say that all AAA games are bad or AAA games are terrible these days. Because, like, sure, there are bad AAA games all the time. However, apparently that Indiana Jones game was great, which makes no fucking logical sense. Solely, thanks for gifting 5 YouTube memberships. Appreciate you. Like, truly, it makes zero fucking sense. But, like, apparently that game was great. Salva, what up, dude? It's good to see you, man. And this is kind of goes back to my point at the beginning of this whole rant, which was YouTubers are toxic. Like, who perpetuates the cycle of... You know, there was an era where games press was bad, and... To me, that era was when the popular thing was to report on the console war. And perpetuate that cycle. And they did it for one very specific reason. It brought a lot of traffic. Now, it's... Games Dead, Lamau, is the current variation of the console war. You know, like, right, I saw a thread the other day about how every single slop tuber on the internet who makes videos about, like, games dying for whatever reason, are currently making videos about Marvel Rivals. Because it's lost 12 to 15% of its player base every single month since it's released. And all I have to say to that is, look at Overwatch 2 when it released on Steam and started having public stats. It lost more than that every month and has since... gained to the point where it's higher than it was when it first released. So, like, game go up and down. And all that kind of stuff does, it just makes the communities worse. Really. Slop tuber? Yeah, it's a rotten potato. Actually, I should make an account called Rotten Potato, and it's just like, you make the most slop, and they're like, I'm a self-identifying slop tuber, thanks. Rotten potato. Reporting in. What a dwarf. You know, honestly, I'm going to start doing that. I'm just going to say that bashing AAA games and games player counts is the, like, current version of the console war. Because the console war was just a meaningless thing that just made people's lives worse for the sake of it. That's all it ever was. Thank you, DFTBA Doctor. Appreciate you. I'm glad that people are liking the current video that I put out this morning. It's doing way better than I thought it would. I mean, on YouTube, Waka Hana la 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 la, we are incentivized. We are incentivized to make people mad. For the same reason people are incentivized to piss people off on social media. Because it makes a lot of money. And sometimes that force can be used for good. You know, you rile people up, they go do a thing, right? Stop Killing Games is actually a pretty good example of a lot of people making people mad so that they go vote for a good cause. Or sign a petition for a good cause. Or decide they don't want to, and that's up to them. But, you know, I referred to the YouTube algorithm as the gaslight machine recently, and I kind of, I stick to that. I stand by that statement. I want them to train archery over here. World's smallest violin indeed, yes. I don't think there's any, like, way to really quantify how bad it is versus any other particular point in history. I think it's just something that's been building, and people are just more incentivized to do it now than they were at points in history. There's more financial incentives than there have been in the past now to do that. Okay, I need to get a lot of bodies put away. So I'm actually going to go into here. Got a lot of put items in stockpile tasks. I've also got a lot of construction. So I'm going to let the construction go, but I'm going to pause all these. There are certain tasks I'm going to let keep going, though, such as a bunch of these process plants jobs and a bunch of these loom jobs. I don't actually know where all these looms even are. I should probably restrict those. There's just too many of them. We'll keep the brew drinks from fruit and plants open. Gabriel pot will keep open. I mean, it's almost like I was talking about earlier about how the main reason big budget games are suffering is money. So, people doing things for money? Weird. Lanix, the Count of SKULLPONDERS has been taken by Famood. Let's see what Lanix is up to. Oh, wow. A Boyer's shop. Chat, you guys can follow Lanix. I'm gonna go use the toilet. The streamer needs to take a piss. Thanks for all the support today. You guys are awesome so far. We'll be going for another couple hours here. So, I'm gonna unpause the game. You guys can follow Lanix. Let me know what they grab, hey? I'll be right back. Lanix was the mayor, got, lost the election, and then I made Lanix the count. Oh. Well, I guess that's that. Well, they grabbed obsidian blocks, so that's cool. I'm just gonna skim these. For dwarves that would be decent in the military. At the very least, decent. Hold on. I've got to go open the door slightly. What, like the migrants, Hippo? Yeah. No, they coming. I've got the door open so I can get fresh air in and out of here. And if I close the door to my bedroom and don't latch it all the way, it creaks slightly because of pressure changing in the room. And it's kind of annoying, so. Oh, this dwarf's married. Look at that. Gotta make more bedrooms, though. But, yeah, I have to say, good talks today, chat. This has been a fun conversation. Also, hello, Athros. I made a video about roguelikes. Are you proud of me? I don't know if you saw it, but... above ground and below ground. I'm building in the magma sea, and I'm building on the surface. There actually isn't an aquifer on this map, and it fucking pisses me off. It's really annoying to not have an aquifer. It was a great video. Got a comment on it and in Disco. Yeah, I thought I saw a comment from you. Probably the one in Discord. I don't always register if comments on who the comments on videos are from, but I was responding to a bunch of them earlier. I'll probably respond to some more this evening. It is, in fact, Canada Day. I didn't realize it was Canada Day until yesterday when last night at midnight, right when I was going to bed, suddenly I heard a ton of fireworks in the bay, and I was like, what the shit? Oh, right, it's Canada. Took a second for me to register that. It was the first one that you learned, I guess, Athros? I'm just really hoping that video continues to do as well as it's doing right now, because it's actually doing quite well currently. And I hope it continues to do that well, because, like, if I can actually push some people towards Doom the Roguelike and, like, Jupiter Hell Classic, I will be very proud of myself. That might be my biggest achievement ever if, like, I actually help that game. Like, if I make a dent. Yeah, it is that day. Happy fireworks are legal. They're not legal. Day. I should probably go outside and, like, do some stuff. Like, look around, because it is... the long weekend is next weekend, but I should probably, like, walk into public tonight. Just, like, go to the beach and draw or something. So did I do it justice then, Athros? Did I accurately capture the reasons it caught you? Okay, somebody's actually putting a body in tomb now. That's what I want to see. I need to get rid of this wall, don't I? Oh, I thought I put a floor piece there a while ago. Triple A. Trippy A? No. Maybe a bit excessive. Triple A is a vampire. He is truly fulfilled by assisting those in need and gripped by crippling shyness. He is quick to anger and is a perfectionist. He rarely looks on others with lust, and he can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings. Speaking of vampires, so I saw a post, I think this was on the Discord the other day, which was, if a vampire is a cop, can it get into my house with a warrant? Jokes as old as time. Thanks for sharing, Drakensoul. You remember one? Yeah, the other one's new. You know, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, Raven. Jeez. Anyway, he is truly fulfilled by assisting those in need. He's gripped by crippling shyness and is very quick to anger. And he is a perfectionist, and he rarely looks on others with lust. He can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings and is somewhat quarrelsome. He is bothered by this since he values friendship. He doesn't often experience strong cravings or urges and tries to keep his things orderly. He likes a little excitement now and then after seeing a goblin die, or a goblin's dead body. He is conflicted by this because he considers tranquility preferable to tumult conceptually. He is often nervous, and he tends to hold on to grievances. He doesn't cling tightly to ideas, is open to changing his mind, and rarely is happy or enthusiastic. He's conflicted by this. He values parties and merrymaking in the abstract. He needs alcohol to get through the working day and is starting to work slowly due to its scarcity. He dreams of mastering a skill and personally views tranquility as one of the highest ideals. Believes that perseverance is one of the greatest qualities that somebody can have. Believes that peace is preferable to war. Feels those that attempt to conceal their emotions vain and foolish. And finds artwork boring. Values sacrifice and dreams of mastering skills. Has a lot of friends in the fort and kindred spirits. And was gelded during fighting at some point. And is repentant when he goes to prison. But okay, but vampires aren't real. So for the sake of vampires, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, without just making it real and unfun, Salva, vampires can't enter your house without an invitation. Does a warrant count as an invitation? Is the question. But chat said yes, so I guess at that point that would be the judge invited them because they have legal precedence. So I guess at that point, then the answer is yes, that a vampire could get into your house if they're a cop and they have a warrant. Landlords, yeah, but okay. I was gonna say landlords aren't vampires. I guess in this, sure. But they own the house. I guess if the vampire owns the house and the vampire is also a landlord, then the vampire could get into the house without a warrant, without being invited. But they'd have to give you 24 hours notice, minimum. Is inherently affected by law. True, it is a supernatural restriction. Space Pants, hello. How is we? Lanix, the Count of SKULLPONDERS, has created Isram Teguz Ilash Dazzle. You gotta dazzle the competition if you know what I'm saying. A Bloodthorn blowgun. And offers it to the enjoyable knowledge. Blowgun? I mean, it looks cool. Hold on. I'm gonna put it in their throne room. Chat, this gun kind of blows. This is a Bloodthorn blowgun. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with Bloodthorn. This object menaces with spikes of Bloodthorn, obsidian, and grizzly bear bone. On the item is an image of a king cobra man in apricot wood. This is actually kind of awesome. On the item is an image of Dagel's hands in elephant leather. On the item is an image of dwarves in obsidian. The dwarves are laboring. The artwork relates to the foundation of SKULLPONDERS by the curse of knowing in the lean paddles in the early spring of 1070. Okay, that's pretty dope. Save the game if you insist, boss. Hello, Tulkas. It's good to see you. Yeah, Audra's right. OG vampires have a lot of restrictions. Like, they have to leave if you hold up a cross or make a cross, so you can just do like this and they walk away kind of deal. I don't know. I like restrictions on like public myths or urban legends like that. Like, that stuff's fun. I do actually really like that stuff. I think that stuff's a lot of fun. Spill a big bag of rice and they have to stop to count them all. Wait, really? Like, I thought that was a Sesame Street thing. The counting stuff incessantly. Mesa Music, hello. Hello, Neezer. Darn vacation. Today was almost missed the stream. And there's also a new video, Neezer. You get everything today. You get new video and you get stream. Skimming through YouTube comments right now, it's making me happy. You know you're doing something right. Chat, can I read a funny comment or a comment that I think is funny? So I made a video about Jupiter Hell Classic and Doom the Roguelike, which I uploaded this morning. And somebody leaves a comment that says, I think you would like Slay the Spire. Excuse me while I choke on my spit, trying not to laugh. There's something super fucking funny to me about that. Dig down and then dig horizontally when you hit the bottom. You'll find magma eventually. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, one of those is a deck builder, the other one's a traditional roguelike. It's like, there's, like, I've had some people saying, like, oh, you might like Quasimorph, which I kind of get, even though I'm not a fan of that game, but I'm not a fan of that game because, like, that's just, I don't want to play a turn-based extraction game. That just kind of sucks. It's too grindy for me, but, like... but, like, I can see the comparison there. Like, aesthetically, those games are very similar. But, like... you might like... You know, honestly, ironically, I probably would like Death Stranding if it didn't have any of the Kojima shit. Like, I've looked at Death Stranding a couple times and been like, man, I would actually really enjoy just, like, walking around and delivering stuff. But no interest in actually playing a Kojima game, and I know the kind